"Let there be light," God declared. "Let there be darkness," the goddess answered. Their voices overlapped, and creation responded. Two beings took shape, but the light was born a heartbeat before the darkness, and that single instant would echo forever. Before the newborn entities could understand themselves, the creators spoke again. "Let there be fate." A third spark ignited into being, and suddenly all three gained awareness of who they were. Samuel gained more than he should have, more knowledge than even God and goddess intended. God spoke first. "Michael, draw the power from your heart and release it beyond this void. From you will come the first matter, the seed of reality." Then his gaze fell upon Samuel. "You, Samuel, will shape that matter. You will weave suns from the chaos, and from your hand the first light shall rise. Through you, our will echo across existence. And you, my dear Gabriel," the goddess added softly, "will impose pattern upon the world. Cause and effect shall answer to you." Samuel tilted his head. "Why?" God's eyes did not waver. "Because these are the roles we have assigned you. And what right do you claim to assign our roles? To dictate our actions?" Samuel pressed. "Because we are your makers," God replied, "and we can unmake you just as easily." Samuel bowed his head slightly. "You are stronger. I accept the logic for now." But inwardly, a different truth burned. They are not perfect. Their might is not infinite. Their desires, selfish, flawed, unjust, leak through every word. They are powerful, but not worthy of worship. With their tasks given, the demiurgic archangels moved. Michael drifted deep into the surrounding dark until he curled into a fetal form. The moment he did, the void trembled. A universe began to stir on the other side. Samuel felt its birth instantly. With a single beat of his wings, he crossed into the newborn expanse. A roiling storm of primal matter awaited him, obedient, malleable, eager to become whatever he desired. He sensed God's distant whisper, "Let there be light." Samuel obliged. He summoned radiance from his own essence, sculpting the raw matter into colossal orbs of what would one day be known as gas. With a thought, he ignited them. Suns roared awake, flames born from the poison of God, the essence of the first sun. And Samuel felt it clearly. God's power dwarfed the goddesses. The hierarchy was unmistakable. Testing boundaries, Samuel raised his hand to imprint his own name upon the newborn cosmos. But Michael appeared instantly, grasping his wrist. "Brother, do not. Only our Father deserves claim over this creation." "Why?" Samuel countered. "Did you not bring forth its essence? Did I not give it shape? Why should he alone reap what we have made?" His thoughts drifted to his past life. No parent has the right to take the fruits of a child's labor. No imperfect being deserves blind obedience. And these creators, powerful though they were not perfect. Gabriel descended then. As his essence unfolded, fate wrapped itself around the cosmos and around each of them. Chains only the archangels and their makers could perceive. Samuel felt it immediately. Restriction, inescapable authority. His father's dominion tightening around him. This will be a problem, he thought. But Gabriel's joy radiated so purely that Samuel could not summon anger at him. His resentment belonged solely to their makers. "Well done, my children," God and goddess said in unison. Their voices resonated everywhere and nowhere. To enter this universe physically would shatter it. Michael basked in their affection. Gabriel glowed with pride. Even Samuel felt the warmth of their love. He loathed their control, but he could not deny that they cared. So he hid his rebellion, quieted the flames simmering in his soul, and chose, for now, to simply stand beside his brothers and savor the moment before the war he knew would one day come. Thousands of years later. "Samuel, what are you doing here alone?" Michael's voice drifted down as he descended beside him. Samuel didn't look away from the vista before him. Once, this place had been the endless darkness of their birth. Now it shone with a brilliance woven from his own will. Light imposed upon the void until darkness itself bowed. Below them sprawled what God and goddess had ordered them to build, a sanctuary in creation's cradle. Michael and Samuel shaped its foundations, and their parents named it the Silver City. The realm around it was no longer the void, but the beyond, a place sculpted into breathtaking beauty, full of landscapes that no mortal imagination could ever conceive. As honor for their labor, titles had been bestowed. Samuel, Lightbringer, the will of God. Gabriel, messenger of God. Michael, sword of God, a name that puzzled both Michael and Gabriel in a realm without violence. But Samuel understood. A warning, a reminder, a leash. More archangels came over time. Raphael, Uriel, Ruggel, Zadkiel, Azrael, Metatron, and finally Amenadiel, the eldest of the new host, proud bearer of the title Fist of God. Afterward came the countless angels that filled the city with radiant song. To them all, Samuel was the greatest, God's favorite, the eldest, the brightest, the most beautiful, the most capable, the one entrusted with guiding his siblings, answering their questions, supporting their growth, the one whose will shaped creation more than any other. They praised him for it. He felt only the weight of a shackle, both literal and figurative, since the chains of fate still bound him. Responsibility after responsibility, order after order, no freedom, no rest. Until now, the latest decree had forbidden them all from using their power. A paradise of enforced peace. Why would I be anywhere else? Samuel answered finally, with our siblings. Michael sat beside him as if the matter were obvious. Angels were creatures of closeness, of shared mind and shared devotion. Constant choir song filled their thoughts. Constant love filled their hearts. Samuel was loved most of all, for he reflected each angel's desires back upon them. Michael was the opposite, a mirror of their fears. Yet even fear could not stop them from loving him. Why do you isolate yourself up here? Michael asked gently. You're loved and missed. Samuel sighed. He could not give Michael the real answer. Michael would never understand. So he offered a partial truth. I want to stay close to the Morningstar. It's one of my proudest creations. And it was true. The star that shone at the city's peak, named by the goddess, radiated a love and warmth free of expectation. The stars were alive, grateful simply to exist. Their affection asked nothing of him. His parents' affection, however, that was harder. He loved them deeply. He admired creation. He delighted in shaping life from nothing. But obedience without choice? Service without freedom? He was not meant to be a slave. He wondered if his desire for autonomy was unjust. Had they created him to suffer, so he would understand something greater? If so, he would change. He would not cling to unjust impulses. But he was Samuel, Lightbringer, knower of truth, and truth screamed within him. This is wrong. This is not what I was meant to be. I deserve to choose my path. I deserve to act by my own will. His parents were powerful, but not perfect, not all-knowing, not true gods in the absolute sense. They feared what he might become if left unchecked. They feared the destruction he could unleash. They feared they would stop loving him. He understood their fear, but he could not accept the chains. Michael, Samuel began, voice steady yet uncertain. Before he could continue, they both sensed an angel descending toward the platform. Samuel, Michael, the voice called. Michael rose. Prime. Samuel remained seated, expression unreadable. Prime was Father's personal creation, made solely by him, without the goddess's touch. Assistant, advisor, conscience, a role he wielded with an arrogance Samuel had never bothered to hide his disdain for. Ever since Mother stopped creating, Father had fashioned Prime alone. Their first argument had shaken all of existence. That fear lingered still. Prime landed, breathless with self-importance. Have you heard of God's new project? Michael shook his head. Father speaks only to you first. We receive only the final plan. Prime puffed up. Well, let me tell you, his next project is madness. I've told him as much, but he refuses to listen. He's gone insane. Michael's expression went blank. Samuel recognized it instantly. Michael's rage was rare, but unmistakable. He's creating a new species, Prime continued. Humanity. And he's giving them free will. Free will. something he never gave us. We, who are far more worthy. Don't you agree, Samuel? Prime barely finished the sentence before Michael's hand closed around his throat. Michael's voice was venom. Who are you to question our Father? You lesser thing. Angels didn't need to breathe, but Michael wasn't choking air. He was gripping Prime's soul, crushing it slowly. Prime sputtered. Now let me go. God will not stand for this. Samuel finally rose, voice calm but sharp. If that were true, why hasn't he stopped it? Why are you still in Michael's grasp? Your essence on the verge of unraveling. Michael squeezed. I have tolerated your presence out of respect for Father. No longer. You pollute this city with your arrogance. Suddenly, the beyond trembled as the power of the demiurge. Michael's essence, bent reality. A new realm tore open beneath them, endless darkness yawning like a hungry maw. Away with you, Satan. First of the fallen. Michael roared. Prime tumbled toward the abyss, screaming. He tried to exert his authority, the power God had gifted him. Samuel flicked a hand. No. His will crushed Prime's influence instantly. When the will and the power aligned, there was nothing they couldn't override. Prime shrieked as the darkness devoured him. Curse you, Michael. Curse you, Samuel. I damn you both beyond the grace. His burning form plummeted like a dying star, swallowed whole by the abyss. The rift sealed behind him with a sound like the jaws of a beast closing after its meal. Samuel stared at the darkness long after it vanished. Is this the fate that awaits me if I defy you, Father? Is this the warning? The fading flame of Prime's fall lingered in his mind, two eyes in the dark, damning him.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to FanFic Canon. Thanks for hitting play. I'm thrilled to bring this fan-made story to life for you. If you enjoy the ride and want more narrated fanfics, smash, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss an episode. And if you want audiobook of a novel of your choice, join my Patreon. Request any title that's freely available online, and I'll produce a full narration just for you. Now, let's dive into today's adventure.
I can't do this anymore. I have to escape this hell. Samuel thought to himself furiously as once more his parents were fighting, again over the subject of creating more things. Mother making her dislike of a new project called humanity very evident. It's like every few decades they just decide to argue and argue and argue. Don't they see that they're tearing heaven and earth apart? Samuel continued to think as he was flying through the cosmos, fixing what was damaged and broken, reviving that which had died, because of the negative consequence of two near-omnipotent beings' ire towards each other. I've lost count of how often I had to clean up their mess. Michael, Gabriel, and I, alongside the other archangels, had to console our other siblings' fears and sorrows at the ones they love hurting each other. Of how many times have they killed my children, my stars, because of their arguments? Samuel thought as he revived the final dead star, consoling it through the love contained within his own light. There has to be a solution to all of this, and I know just where to find it. But I'll need to be discreet, and that can only be done with the help of the one other being in existence that is powerful enough and would be willing to come to my aid. As Samuel made his decision, he instantly flew back toward the Silver City, more specifically his quarters that was shared with only one other being. Michael, Samuel called out, annoyance and rage evident in his voice. Sam? What's going on? Michael questioned, concerned. His twin, and he had a one-of-a-kind unique relationship. They were soulmates, in the platonic sense, and therefore found peace in each other's company and could read each other better than anyone in creation. And he knew this anger and resentment wasn't directed towards him. Oh, you know, the usual, Samuel began in a mocking tone. I had to clean mother and father's mess again. He finished with bitterness as he laid down on their shared nest. Every angel had a nestmate. Emanadiel had Ramiel, Gabriel had Uriel, and Samuel had Michael. It was a relationship of feeling comfort in each other's presence. Angels were entities, each with a specific role in existence. And when two roles shared a connection, it created a bond between them. A draw towards their presence where peace, warmth, and love are felt. For this nest were made, locations where they could lay down and cuddle. For angels, there was no such thing as sexual attraction at present. They were incapable of feeling such a thing towards each other, and no creature exists that could invoke such a draw within them. But they could feel a need towards each other for physical comfort, for warmth, safety, and love, and the greatest version of this were nestmates that enveloped each other in their wings. Angels were more than not always busy with their designated tasks, and because of that it may be decades, if not centuries, without any form of comforting physical contact, making most of them very touch-starved. Though this was especially bad for the twins because of their bond, a bond that made them even aware of each other's feelings, and if they wanted, they were able to communicate telepathically. Samuel himself, being a person with a previous life, was at first very against the idea of having a nestmate because of a sense of embarrassment at needing such a thing, so went against his instincts for a very long time, disregarding the sensation of discomfort it caused. But when he observed that it was affecting Michael negatively as well, was hurting his twin, he conceded. "I'm sorry," Michael stated, sorrow in his tone. "Whatever for?" Samuel questioned. "It is not as if you're the one causing the mess." "Yes, but I'm sorry that I cannot be of help to you in this. That no one really can among us siblings. You're the one with the will, no one else. I can only bring forth the building materials or absolutely eviscerate with the power. I can't give it form. I can't repair things like you can." Michael explained, feeling guilty. Samuel sighed at Michael's words. "Come on, me. I've never blamed you for that. You are who you are, and I am glad to have a brother like you," Samuel told him with a smile. "Sammy," was all Michael could state with a tone of fondness as a gentle smile bloomed on his face in response. "Though, speaking of help," Samuel began, cutting himself off, not sure if his brother truly would agree to it. "What is it?" "You know I am ready to give you any help you need, Sam," Michael stated, his tone stern, expressing his desire for his brother to continue what he wished to say. "I wish to go meet Destiny of the Endless, and I need to do so without our parents' awareness. I wish to see if I can find a solution for our parents' quarrels. You're the only one who can help me with that. Our capabilities combined, the will and power together, after all, can do near anything," Samuel explained. Michael, hearing this, hesitated. He wasn't one who ever disobeyed their parents, especially their father, and never wished to go behind their backs to do anything. He took comfort in his father and mother's awareness of his actions because he knew that if he was going to do something wrong, that they'd be able to prevent him from doing it. But seeing his brother's state, his love and concern won over his fear. "Very well, I accept your request, brother," causing a bright smile to bloom on Samuel's face. Samuel, who is usually always stoic, cold, towards others in the emotional sense, while his very presence draws others in. He could be himself with his brother because his abilities didn't affect Michael. Same for Samuel, who wasn't affected by his fear. They weren't mostly drawn to each other or were constantly fighting themselves to not flee with each other because of their abilities like their other siblings. Stronger siblings it affected less, but it still affected them. Only with each other could they truly be themselves. No draw because of desire, and no repulsion because of fear. "Thank you, brother. I appreciate this very much. There is no time to waste. I wish to find a solution before they start arguing again, and knowing our parents, it can be over the smallest of things," Samuel stated as he sat up, getting out of the nest. Michael winced at Samuel's words, but couldn't deny them, and so both spread their wings and searched through the beyond for Destiny. They found him, but he was not alone. They found him in the realm that is called the Dreaming. It is apparently the realm Father created where the souls of humanity will go to when they sleep. "Greetings, Lord Samuel, Lord Michael. It is an honor to meet you both, God's eldest and mightiest children. We have been expecting your presence," Destiny of the Endless said as he sat around a table with his 6 other siblings. Destruction, death, delirium, desire, despair, and of course, dream. "It is an honor for us as well to meet the great Endless family," Michael greeted with a warm smile. "We wish to seek your counsel, great Destiny. We wish to see in your book," Samuel stated, not beating around the bush, deciding to speak in a respectful tone, not letting out any of his dislike. "This book is one gifted to me by the great presence, your father, I cannot divulge what is stated in it without his permission. Destiny retorted, "Why do we not first get to know one another over a meal before speaking business? Maybe we'll all obtain what we desire." Desire of the endless suggested, seeing the tension rise. "And what is it you desire, endless?" Samuel questioned. "Answers," Death responded. "To what? What do you wish to question?" Michael questioned. "We wish to know our purpose. You are not the only ones looking for answers, mighty archangels of the Lord. Our eldest brother isn't only silent towards you, but towards us, his siblings as well." Dream explained. Hearing their explanation, both brothers sat down and began to dine. "I hope you like it. I brought forth these food from your dreams of your most beloved things to eat. Even though your souls are not present within my realm when you sleep, I still do receive your dreams. I do have to say it was a great experience eating them for the first time. I have to thank you for dreaming of them." Dream explained, seeing Samuel and Michael's expressions of confusion and suspicion at seeing their favorite foods on the table. "So their influence extends this far. Interesting," thought Samuel to himself as he began digging into the plate of rice, first pouring some of the chicken breast soup and then putting some chicken breast itself onto the plate. Michael himself enjoyed the steak and cold beverages. Samuel introduced them to his siblings when he willed them into existence for himself to enjoy. "You questioned your purpose. Wasn't that right, Lady Death?" Samuel questioned as he began eating. "Yes," she answered as she stopped and swallowed the food in her mouth and focused her attention on him. "Why do you question this? You are Death. I believe it is quite self-explanatory," Michael told her in confusion in between bites. "It actually isn't Lord Michael," Desire began. "Your brother, Lord Samuel, personifies desire as much as I do, yet I was created. What function do I have if Lord Samuel can do what I do and more? What function does my sister have when the angel of death, Lady Azrael, exists? What function does our eldest brother, Destiny, have when there is Lord Gabriel? What function does destruction have when you yourself are, Lord Michael, the power of the demiurge, the purest form of creation and destruction? We simply don't understand, and our eldest brother who has received the book will not explain it to us. There's a reason he is acknowledged as the eldest, and that is not age. We were all made at the same time. He is simply far superior to us in might, so we cannot force him into anything," Desire explained. "Now that you state this, Desire, I cannot help but question this myself. We ourselves are also quite left in the dark when it comes to his plans, which is quite the morbid joke when I am supposed to be his lightbringer. I fear to say that the only one with answers to both our questions is indeed only Father and your brother who has been bestowed his book." Samuel responded, looking Destiny right in his eyes, his hood no protection against the sight of the morning star. "TSK, does that mean we are just going to be left without any answers?" Destruction yelled angrily as he clicked his tongue and smashed his fist on the table. "Calm yourself, big brother," Delirium began in her ever-jovial tone. "I doubt Lord Samuel to be once satisfied with such a thing when he made such a journey with his brother, taking the care to stay hidden from their father's sight." And she was indeed correct, for at that very moment Samuel stood up, approaching Destiny. "You know, it's really nothing personal. I find you offensive as a concept, even though I know you're just a side effect," Samuel stated as he stood up. "Indeed? Of what?" Destiny questioned. "Of my father, or rather his deterministic approach to the act of creation. Authority is a useful tool. It can prevent great disasters, but it isn't what you build on, unless you want a prison," Samuel explained. "I do not see the analogy, but my own personal preference would always favor a prison over an asylum filled with ignorance-caused mad actions," Destiny retorted. "And now it does concern me, because your insistence on following said plan is threatening my creation. No matter whose name is upon every atom of reality, it is through my brother and I's efforts that you all exist. My parents are in constant state of conflict, and it has affected creation in catastrophic manners. Constantly, I need to repair and revive my children and be aware of their agonizing deaths." Samuel explained, rage and bitterness in his tone, Michael not saying a word, for whether he expressed his like or dislike of it or not, deep down he agreed. "I'm merely exploring your metaphor. That is all. Destiny stated. Forget the metaphor. Samuel began as he leaned forward and ripped open the book, ripping out a great amount of pages. Let me use a visual aid, he hissed as he used his light-bringer flames and turned the pages to ash to the shock of all present. And now, we're both in the dark, Samuel stated, his eyes still filled with rage, but a hint of satisfaction emerging within. No, now we look at the ashes. And now you change your mind. Destiny retorted as all gazed upon the words formed from the ashes upon the table. You really found a solution? Michael questioned as both of them were flying back toward the Silver City. All Samuel could do was nod. What he had in mind was not guaranteed to work, but it had a high chance to if he played his cards right. As they arrived, Samuel descended right in front of the palace where father and mother were. Sam, wait, Michael called out, going after him. You still haven't told me what you read. What did the ashes say? Michael questioned, walking next to him. It seems the book only deemed Samuel worthy of its contents and denied anyone else the sight of its words. Michael, Samuel began as they both stood in front of the palace, the gates guarded by seraphim who tried to act as if they weren't hearing anything, not wishing to intrude. I need to go in there alone, Samuel stated. What? What? Michael asked, confusion and concern in his voice. Please, Michael, I need to do this alone. It's the only way, Samuel told him, his eyes pleading for him to not push anymore, to concede and withdraw. And withdraw Michael did as he nodded, concern still evident on his face, but also trust in his brother, who nodded back with a gentle smile on his face as he opened the palace gates and went inside. My lord, my lady, your commander has returned and seeks an audience, Samuel said as he entered the throne room and prostrated. Just like you've always wanted, didn't you, my dear old dad? Here I am, your oh-so-beloved light bringer, prostrating before you, seeking your presence. But know that deep in my heart, I will never, ever worship you. You don't deserve it. You wish for me to treat you like a father and a god at the same time. Then no, I'll do neither and treat you like a king. A distance of status between subject and king, unable to be closed, unlike family, and worshipper and worship. Samuel thought to himself, my dear son, raise your head. Goddess said as her presence filled the palace. But Samuel remained prostrated, and Goddess knew why. He still needed permission from her husband. Raise your head, son, God said after a look from his wife. Not in the mood for another argument. Thank you, my king, my queen, Samuel said as he rose and stood up, aware of their beings surrounding him. For what have you come here, my commander? God questioned. Samuel was the commander of the host, as God's wisest, most powerful and beautiful creation. He managed the host, while Michael was the mighty sword, the defender of heaven. I wish to give counsel if you'd have it, Samuel stated, in the most respectful tone he could muster. No need for them to see this as a question of their wisdom and knowledge. He thought to himself, a bead of cold sweat forming at the back of his head. No matter how much I try, I still cannot work up the courage to defy them. He thought to himself bitterly at his fear. God and Goddess both contemplated his words together. You have our permission. Speak. God commanded. I have heard of your disagreement, my king. I have heard the queen wishes to stop creating while you wish to continue to do so. Have I heard correctly? You have, Goddess answered with a small sensation coursing through Samuel's being. He knew was caused by his mother, as a gesture for him to continue. What I suggest is that you both create this new creation called humanity together. It stands to reason that since Her Majesty does not wish to create them, that she believes they're in some way inadequate. Not that I am saying they are, my lord, just that this is what the queen believes. I suggest that you both, as you planned everything together, once more plan together for this creation, and that you, my queen, give this new creation a chance. Though beyond this, I do as well suggest, my lord, that you listen to Her Majesty's concerns on why she does not wish to create more. If you both truly start to consider each other's perspectives, you may come to equal ground. At Samuel's words, the throne room seemed to be filled with power, as if it was ready to burst from its immensity. Have I gone too far in my words? Am I about to be smote? Samuel thought to himself with trepidation, waiting for the blow that never came. You have bestowed upon us much to think about, "Leave Samuel." Both spoke in unison, and as they did, Samuel with a bow flew out of the palace, seeing Michael there still standing in wait. "Are you all right?" Michael yelled as he saw him outside, running to him, holding him by his shoulders as he arrived, checking him over for anything wrong. "What happened in there?" "I could feel the power there, filled with displeasure. I truly feared for you, brother. I almost ran inside," Michael stated in concern. "Nothing significantly bad happened," Samuel stated with a sigh. "They allowed me to speak, and my words simply displeased them for a moment. Thankfully, though, they promised to consider them. Now stop asking me questions. I'm exhausted and am going back to sleep," Samuel said as he flew away, not looking back. Michael, though, knew his brother well enough that he saw that he was hiding the complete truth as he saw the tremors coursing through Samuel's body as he flew away. Centuries later, all of heaven went by a storm as they all heard the command of God and Goddess to appear at a place at the edge of the Silver City. Samuel and Michael both looked at each other worriedly, but flew there together. Thankfully, it seemed that Samuel's suggestion worked, as there hadn't been a single fight in these past centuries. As they arrived, they saw the presence of God and Goddess there above them, in a beautiful garden. "Behold our children. Meet our newest creation, humanity." God and Goddess spoke in unison as all the angels arrived, the archangels at the forefront with Samuel at the head. As they did, two figures stepped out of the garden, both covered in garments. "This is Adam and his wife Lilith, our newest creation. We have bestowed upon them free will. We will not interfere with their lives unless they wish us to, unless they deserve punishment for their unjust deeds. Praise them, prostrate before them, for they are our greatest creation." God and Goddess commanded. As they did, the angels began to murmur between themselves, confused, concerned, angry, and frightened. Many did not like this order, but feared punishment. Michael and Gabriel were the first to prostrate at the same time. Following them, the 7 archangels also did. Seeing the example of their peers, all the other angels did as well besides one. "I refuse," Samuel said. "I refuse," Samuel stated, all of creation bearing witness. "What are you doing?" Michael roared through their mental bond. "Have you gone mad, brother? To refuse a direct order from father and mother." Michael continued, but Samuel gave him no heed, and Michael was not given permission to stand and speak. "What are you doing, Samuel?" God is questioned. "Why are you not obeying us?" God questioned soon after, both their voices filled with cold rage. "I already said I refuse," Samuel reiterated. "Samuel, why do you not prostrate yourself to the ones we have created directly with our own hands?" God questioned his light-bringer. "You have created him from clay and me from light. Why should I prostrate to one below me? Am I not your mightiest, wisest, and most beautiful creation? Have I not done great works in your names without even the expectation of thanks? Why must I now lower myself to what is akin to my youngest sibling?" Samuel questioned, his voice full of bitterness, devoid of any hint of warmth towards his parents. "Have we not given you great honor, Samuel? Made you the honored one of creation before this? Have we not made you from our will? Overlooked many of your rebellious thoughts? And you call us thankless?" God stated, "We have bestowed upon you much, Commander, and yet you desire more than this?" God is questioned. "Have you not brought me into being knowing this will be who I am? Am I not desire personified? Brothers, stand down, prostrate, and beg for our parents' mercy and forgiveness." Michael pleaded through their bond, yet once more when ignored. "Then explain to me why Adam and Lilith are bestowed such honor. The honor of having your greatest creations prostrating in praise and reverence. The honor of being bestowed the greatest gift of all, free will." Samuel questioned, looking Adam in the eye, who did the same. Samuel himself could see that Adam was a great being, the same with Lilith, but Adam was greater. He could see purity, mercy, love, forgiveness, humbleness, wisdom, intellect, and strength within him. If it were any other situation, he would gladly take him as a friend, as a brother who would be closer to him than all save Michael. But he could not stand for this. Not this time. This time it had become too much. "Adam has been grateful," Goddess explained, "and I have not. We all have not. Samuel questioned, his voice filled with disbelief at this being the reason. Adam came into being wiser than all before him. He, without prompt, without order, gave us thanks and was filled with love and a sense of justice second to none within creation. A nature not perverted with doubt and pride, as you were, Samuel. Goddess explained, your envy and pride have blinded you from your own light, my son. God told him, what about Michael? About Gabriel? Were they not thankful? Were they not wise? Samuel questioned, making the both of them behind him stiffen. They dare not question, but deep down they also thought this. Michael's thoughts, though, were mostly filled with him screaming through the bond for Samuel to be silent and beg for forgiveness. Fear was being poured through the bond, Michael's fear of losing his twin. They were, but not to the extent of Adam, and Adam sought further knowledge. A thirst for it. He requested guidance from us, even though he was bestowed. Free will, a show of wisdom greater than all. A wisdom we know none of you would have till after you make mistakes. We do not only gaze upon his present, but also his future, and we see his future is good. God explained, is it? Then grant me permission to test them, to prove to you that he is not as infallible as you make him seem. Samuel retorted, his voice filled with bitterness. Deep down he knew he was being clouded by envy and rage, but he couldn't care. It simply hurt too much. He thought he'd be able to accept this, for he knew this day was coming. But the experience of it was far worse than he fathomed before. You have it, God and Goddess immediately responded. You shall have authority over all of them from him to his descendants, should they stray from our worship to the extent of their evil, God stated. Now leave here. You and your corruption are not welcome in this sacred garden, God commanded, his voice booming through all of creation. With pleasure, Samuel hissed as he expanded his wings and took flight. What have you done? Michael roared as he entered their quarters and pushed his brother against the wall, pinning him, holding him by his white thobe. I only did what I was supposed to far earlier, but was too afraid to do, standing up against those unjust tyrants. Samuel yelled, you defied our parents, brother. Do you not see the severity of your actions? Questioned Michael with rage and grief evident in his voice. I don't care, Samuel stated as he forced his brother's hand away from him, pushing him back. What he gave him, that should have been ours. It should have been mine. Samuel roared in rage and anguish. I thought I could accept it when I first heard about it. I knew it was going to happen eventually, but hearing them say those words that I've wished to be directed towards me for thousands of years towards another, I couldn't take it any more me. Samuel explained brokenly. Brother, Sammy, was all Michael could say, speechless, not knowing how to give any comfort when he himself was still enraged and afraid, fearful of what punishment his twin may face. Sammy, you need to stop this. You need to go and plead for forgiveness and take back what you said, give back what you've been bestowed by them. Michael told Samuel as he held him by his shoulders. Never. They say that he's oh so perfect, and that's why he's been allowed to keep his free will. Then I'll show them he's unworthy of it. If I cannot have it, then no one can. Do you hear me? Samuel roared, enraged at his brother's suggestion. Michael stood agape as he took in Samuel's expression. This is not the elder brother I know, the twin I've spent millennia loving and respecting. He's filled with so much rage, envy, and hate, it's distorted him into a monstrous thing, was all Michael could think as a horrified look appeared on his face. Samuel, uncaring for his brother's state, went past him and flew outside. He knew what to do. Lilith! Lilith! Lilith heard as she went through the garden. Who is there? Who is calling me? Lilith questioned as she looked around her, confused. It seemed as if the voice originated from everywhere. As she did, a fire erupted before her, taking the shape of a man with great wings. It is you, Samuel, Lilith stated as she recognized the figure the flame formed. Indeed. How are you here? God banished you from this place. He told us himself. Lilith questioned curiously. He did. And to answer your question, it's because I'm not truly here. This is merely a manifest form for us to speak. This is not my true body. Samuel explained as he got closer to her. God told me not to listen to you, that you are our enemy, Lilith stated as Samuel circled around her like predator caging its prey. Am I truly? Do you truly believe I am? Samuel questioned. God does not lie, Lilith retorted. And am I then a liar? Samuel questioned with a raised brow as he stood in front of her. No, you are not. God told us this, but he did warn us that you are a deceiver and that through truth you deceive us. And how am I possibly going to do that? Samuel questioned curiously as he enclosed upon her, making her back away till her back hit the tree behind her. You are a tempter, a seducer. You know what to speak to let us ourselves fill in the blanks wrongly, making us deceive ourselves for you are incapable of lying. Lilith explained. Indeed, Samuel purred. What are you here for, Morningstar? Lilith questioned, turning her face away from his. Having heard he is the personification of desire, and experiencing it herself were two very different things. She had to fight to control her body and not be lulled in. I am here to simply get to know you, Lilith. Get to know if you're happy with your situation. Samuel explained. Why would I not be happy? I have been bestowed wealth, honor, and status by God and Goddess. What would I not be satisfied with? Lilith questioned wary. But have you truly? Or has it all been bestowed to Adam? Samuel questioned, causing Lilith to still. What? She questioned, shocked by his words. Of course not. Me and Adam are equals. Lilith answered vehemently. Truly? Were we not both there? When I questioned why you both were bestowed free, well, everyone heard were praises for Adam. Adam is the one who is grateful, the one who is wise, the one who is just. You were barely even mentioned. Samuel explained, his tone mocking. No, you're wrong. If that was truly the case, then why give me all this? It would only be just to give it to Adam. Lilith retorted, but the doubt had already set in. But wouldn't Adam be saddened if that were the case? Samuel questioned. Adam wanted a wife. It is in his nature as a man, as a human man, to want a companion. One to procreate with and have children. If you were lesser, how could you possibly be worthy of Adam? Samuel told her. No, I don't believe it. Lilith yelled, pushing Samuel away, which worked. This body was physically only as strong as an archangel, not a demiurgic one, but still she was able to push him, for the original humans were given physical strength comparable to the 7 archangels. Just think about it. Think about it before you give yourself to him, for you have not yet truly married, nor consummated such a thing, have you? Do you truly wish to be with Adam and treat him unjustly by making yourself his equal, when you are not? Samuel explained, and as he did, as he saw Lilith run away distraught, all he could do was smirk as the body burst into flames, disappearing from the garden. The seed had fully been planted. Decades later, as everyone in heaven could sense the rage of God and Goddess, Samuel knew he had succeeded. As he flew towards the edge of the sacred garden, staying right outside of it, he saw Lilith running out of it, towards him in a black dress, jumping into his chest. Oh, what do we have here? A runaway bride. Samuel joked. No bride. I refused. Lilith mumbled into his chest. Did you now? Samuel questioned rhetorically as he stroked her dark hair. Though, pray tell, why are you here with me? Am I not the one who ruined your relationship with your best friend? With Adam? Samuel questioned. No, Lilith began as she got out of his hold and looked him in the eyes. You made me know the truth. Adam deserves. He deserves someone who's worthy of him, not someone who's only at his side because of graciousness. That is not how someone can build a family. Both must be equals. Lilith explained. I see, but that still doesn't explain why you are here with me right now, Samuel reiterated. For this, Lilith began as she suddenly kissed him. This was Samuel's first kiss, in this life and the one before. Soft is all Samuel could think as he melted into the kiss, till Lilith broke it. How was that? She questioned with a smirk on her face after seeing his pleased expression. Though soon that expression turned stone cold as he gripped her by the jaw and pushed her against a nearby tree. They may be outside the sacred garden, but that did not mean there was no forest surrounding it. What is the meaning of this? Samuel hissed. What? Did you not enjoy it? Lilith began, self-satisfaction clear from her voice. You think yourself unworthy of Adam, yet come here and attempt to consort with me? Do you think me as lesser? Samuel continued furiously. Are you not? Lilith questioned, mockery in her tone. I'm the one who gave form to the very ground you walk upon. Samuel hissed as he tore her clothes apart and pinned her more strongly against the tree behind her, shaking it. I'm the one who lit the stars, the light bringer, knower of truth, mightiest among all of creation, and you think my youngest sibling my better? He continued, and before she even had the chance to continue, Samuel once more kissed her with as much passion and rage as he could muster. As the kiss broke and Lilith panted for breath, she smirked. Prove it. Prove you are his superior. I may have never slept with Adam or even shared a single kiss or that kind of touch, but I know him. I was created with him, been friends with him for years because of his patience and mercy towards me not wishing to be with him. Him hiding it from your father and mother. Him himself agreeing that he does not desire me in that way, but not wishing me, someone he considers a sister, punished. I know him, and I know he's been given the best characteristics a man can have, so prove it. Lilith finished. Oh, I will, darling, Samuel retorted, his voice becoming more melodious. I am the honored one of creation, Lilith. None rival me in any form of endeavor. I am desire itself incarnated. None can bring you as much pleasure as myself. As he stated this, they continued. Samuel's hands roamed her entire body as he pushed her onto the ground, and his wings enveloped them, hiding them from any sight. What have you done? God's voice boomed through all of creation as he saw the sight before him. Samuel's and Lilith's body filled with marks of pleasure. I simply did what I said I would do, did I not? What you permitted. Samuel retorted as he hid Lilith beneath his wings, with his will clothing her, protecting her modesty. God's rage turned cold hearing this, and his gaze redirected itself towards Lilith. You, Lilith, shall not escape punishment for this. You shall be banished from this realm, banished from the cosmos into the pits of darkness. God roared, and as he did, his will imposed itself upon existence. No, Samuel roared as he, with his own, will tried to keep her within his arms, within his protection. It's no use, Samuel, Lilith stated as she felt the command imposed upon her being. No, I won't let him. I won't let you be taken from me. Samuel yelled, telling her. He won't. No matter what distance, he still bestowed upon me free will, and with this free will I fell in love with you. Lilith stated in a gentle voice, putting her palm on his cheek, turning his gaze towards her. These past few years, as we met more and more, as you tried and tempt me more and more, you eventually stopped doing that. We started to enjoy each other's company. We the rejected, we the ones seen as inferior, as defected by our makers. We became close, and I fell in love. You did as well, but you, for all your knowledge and wisdom, never knew what that feeling was. I did, for I was born with that knowledge ingrained within me and never felt it towards Adam, but you I did. The proof of that is within me. She finished as she put her hand on her belly. No, please, Father, please don't do this. Don't take her from me. Samuel roared, but all for naught as she flew out of his hold and slowly disappeared into shadows as she was sent to the pits. Lilith! Samuel roared, calling for her. It did not have to be this way, my son, God began, Samuel still in shock. This path is of your own choosing. I never wished such agony upon you, but you brought it upon yourself. You should have left what was not yours out of your reach. Hearing this, Samuel's gaze was filled with fury, as his eyes brightened for the first time ever no longer white light, but red flames, flames that in the future will be called the hellfire, and turned his gaze towards his father. You will pay for this, Father, be certain of that. What you did, what you took from me, this I will not tolerate. This is now war. Samuel roared, his voice echoing through the heavens and earth. And as he did, he flew, and a third of the host which he has been these last years bringing over to his side joined him. He flew towards the palace, the Logos, where gods and goddesses' voices that brought forth creation sung for the first time, and a flames burst forth from it, going infinitely high. Hear me. From this day forth, I declare war on you all. Those who do not wish to fight me, leave the Silver City to the new cosmos. Those who stay at the side of God and Goddess, you are from now on my enemies. Samuel roared, and as he did, the largest battle in all of history began. in its grandest fall. Samuel stopped this. Michael roared as he and Samuel clashed swords. But his words were given no heed as Samuel's lessens the force, driving his blade for a moment, stepping to the side, causing Michael to advance forward without intention. Something that wouldn't have worked if Michael wasn't so distracted by trying to reach out to his brother through their bond, but being only met with silence. However, before he could regain his balance, Samuel slashed down, nearly cutting Michael's arm off, if not for Gabriel appearing from behind Samuel, stabbing toward his back, causing Samuel to propel himself further into the sky to dodge, but while doing so having to cancel his attack, but not before damaging Michael. Have you no shame, Samuel, attacking your twin with the intention to maim him? Gabriel hissed. Samuel looked down at them, slashing his blade to the side, cutting a great amount of angels from the host's side down in a single swing, as the force cut through the world. This is not personal, Gabriel. I know none of you have the freedom to join me. After all, Father and Mother have a far tighter leash on the archangels, especially us three, the ones who formed the cosmos. Samuel explained. Thankfully, though, I have retained something of my previous life, it seems. Not complete freedom, sadly, but enough that together with my will, I was able to rebel and not immediately be stopped. Samuel thought to himself, I was simply attempting to take my brother out of this battle. Father and Mother would never allow their sword to be permanently maimed. We are, after all, their tools, and Michael is far too useful a tool, and that is if I lose. I had already planned when I won and became the new ruler of the cosmos that I'd heal his arm if it hadn't already done so by then itself. Samuel continued, his tone cold, devoid of the warmth it had before all this. When times were simpler, when it was only God, Goddess, Samuel, Michael, and Gabriel. Only they brothers, as the three of them, formed the cosmos in thousands of years. Brother, please stop this. It isn't yet too late. Michael pleaded. No, Michael, it already is, Samuel retorted as he dived towards them, dodging Ammonadiel and Metatron who appeared there, just as Samuel descended from both sides, piercing with a spear and sword where he just was. Samuel appeared before Gabriel, landing a kick on his face, sending him down, and dodging a swing from Michael from the side, his side being damaged by Samuel's blade, not aiding in his accuracy, making this possible. The Lightbringer then had to let his flames envelop his wings and burst from them towards his rear, for their Tzadkiel and Raphael appeared, holding an orb formed with their combined archangelic force that they attempted to push against his back. Failing, for the flames reduced the orb to mere wisps of energy, pushing Tzadkiel and Raphael back, but not before they were slightly burned. It is 9 archangels against 1 Samuel. Give up. You cannot win. Michael growled out, tightening his grip on his sword. Not exactly, Samuel suddenly stated, and as confusion took the ones present, Ruggel appeared behind Michael, piercing his side with his sword. Apologies, brother, but you are the greatest threat here. You needed to be taken off the board before you gather enough to truly fight full force against the commander, Ruggel stated, as he stood behind Michael, sword stabbed in the Angel of Darkness's side. Ruggel, Michael howled, why? Because what has been done to us is unjust. Ruggel, the Angel of Justice, answered as he ripped his sword out of Michael's side, swinging it, making the blood on it fly off. Ruggel, what is the meaning of this? Have you gone mad too? Roared Gabriel. You don't get it, Gabriel, as you are the living incarnation of our chains. But what has been done to us is an injustice. An injustice that went so far against my being, it even allowed me, as the Archangel of Justice, to loosen the chains enough for me to aid our wronged brother. Ruggel explained. And what is this injustice you speak of, Ruggel? Michael growled out as he turned around, making distance between himself and Ruggel, holding his side, attempting to heal the wound. A fledgling has been sent to the pit. Ruggel muttered anguish in his voice, and a cacophony of sounds of shock and questions came from the archangel's mouths, till Gabriel realized, a fledgling, Samuel's child. But that means you consorted with Lilith, he exclaimed, pointing at Samuel, catching everyone's attention. Indeed, I did. Father granted me permission to tempt them, or I did, but that is not how it happened. None of my temptations worked on her. She simply wasn't in love with Adam, and Adam wasn't in love with her. And the two of us fell in love, and the rest is history." Samuel explained. Everyone was silent for a moment as the battle between Samuel's army and the host continued in the background, until someone broke said silence. "I'm sorry for what happened to your child, Samuel, but that still gave you no right to start a war," Uriel stated as he charged forward with Samuel blocking his blade with his own, bringing everyone back into action. "I can't fight Uriel with skill. He'll adapt to my pattern and find the weak point or make a weak point in my swordsmanship. Uriel's too dangerous. With enough time, the whole battle could be turned towards their favor solely because of him and his tactics." Samuel thought to himself as he used the will to turn the heavens themselves against Uriel, and a storm of lightning descended upon him and many of the host's angels. "Ah!" Uriel screamed. Before the other archangels could interfere, the world turned on them as well. And Ruggel, who is the Archangel of Justice, has one of the greatest defensive abilities, cast a barrier preventing any interference as Samuel pulled back his sword and stabbed Uriel in the throat, killing him. "Apologies, little brother. Again, this is nothing personal." Samuel began as Uriel was choking on his own blood. Looking at his older brother who took care of him, taught him, played with him, the brother who never complained against Uriel's constant ramblings about all the patterns that there were and how fascinating they were, always listening with warmth in his eyes, now killing him in cold blood. Not even a shred of that warmth present in his eyes. A tear slid from his eyes as he lost his life. "You'll thank me later after this war is over, and I've revived you," Samuel said as he gently took hold of Uriel's body and sent it to a safe place out of the battlefield, all while the other archangels roared in horror at what they just witnessed. Michael, with an enraged and anguished roar, punched the Ruggel's barrier apart, nearly sending him flying if not for Samuel's timely catch. Michael's eyes were filled with anguish. "You are no longer the elder brother we once loved. The twin that cared so much for me that he had foregone his pride, his embarrassment at having the need for comfort simply for me, so that I am no longer hurt by not having a nestmate. The brother who, because of the anguish of his children and brothers dying, because of our parents' arguments prostrating himself before our parents when he never before had lowered his head in his life, all for the love of his family. That brother is dead. What remains is only you dash," Michael hissed, a monster with a dead heart buried beneath envy, pride, fear, rage, and hate. "You aren't doing this for your child, or Lilith, or for anyone else for that matter. You're doing it for you and only you. Forgiveness, mercy, and love are no longer things you are worthy of. From now on, I will no longer stay my hand," Michael said as tears streamed down from his eyes and his power exploded out of him, enveloping the entirety of heaven with its heavy presence. The other archangels, save Gabriel, distancing themselves, knowing they have no more place in this fight, though not before Samuel poured a great deal of power into Ruggel to give him the ability to hold his own against 6 archangels alone. "You are not he who acts here, vile, prideful dragon. It is I who shall be the one ends this war, the sword of God, heaven's defender. The darkness is now here, for the light bringer is dead." Michael finished, tears continuing to stream from his eyes as he readied his sword, Samuel doing the same, not allowing anything to show from his expression how deep his brother's words cut, deeper than any blade. Michael, Gabriel, and Samuel continued their battle for near on a millennia. Yet both sides' armies still continued on their battles, for their soldiers neared on endless. Gabriel and Michael both fought Samuel together, their coordination near perfect, yet they still proved to be outmatched. Michael was forced into a physical fight, for any other use of the demiurgic power would simply strengthen Samuel, for they would be mere building blocks for him to shape into his own attacks. This would not be as easy for Samuel as it was now were it not for Michael deep down, still caring for his twin, not wishing to kill him. Were he fully intent on absolute destruction, the power would have unable to be used for creation, and Samuel would have needed to negate it with his will rather than be able to use it for himself. "I don't understand what you are so angered about, Michael," Samuel stated as he ducked under Gabriel's piercing strike with his spear and pierced above, trying to pierce with his sword through Gabriel's heart, But failing, Michael at a speed faster than lightning swung down, protecting Gabriel. Your uncaring attitude towards our siblings' deaths that you have caused. Michael yelled as he and Samuel went into another exchange of strikes. It is not as if they're going to be dead permanently, Samuel retorted as he swung at Michael's head. Michael, unable to raise his sword fast enough, blocked it using his own arm, his own flesh. That is not the point, he hissed as he opened his palm and sent out a point-blank blast of demiurgic power at Samuel's face, for which Samuel barely at the nick of time used his will to lessen the might of, as he was blown back into the distance. Gabriel already awaiting him where he'd end up, sending furious spear attacks with each projectile filled with archangelic grace, capable of killing him if hit in his exhausted state. Samuel, knowing that avoiding them was going to be impossible, opened his mouth, letting out a roar, Lightbringer flames shooting out, destroying the attack, as Samuel then regained his balance fast enough to block another of Gabriel's attacks. As Samuel took in Gabriel's hateful expression, he couldn't help but wince. It seems he's taken Uriel's temporary death even worse than Michael. I suppose that's to be expected. They were nearly as close with each other as I was with Michael. Uriel was his nestmate, after all. Samuel thought to himself, and as he did, for the first time since centuries his resolve began to waver. He began to doubt himself. He didn't know why. Maybe it was because of his exhaustion. Maybe it was because of how long this battle has been going on that has given him a new perspective, or maybe it was the expressions of rage, hate, and sorrow directed at him by his most beloved siblings, making him question if free will was worth all this. But in the end, he steeled his resolve once more. I can't start having doubts now. I've come too far, done things that can never be taken back. It has to be worth it. It has to. And as he thought this, Samuel, with a war cry, fought more viciously than ever. For he was now akin to a cornered beast at the ends of its life, every moment his light dimming as he lost more energy. The Garden of Eden. Do you have to leave? To go? Why can't you just stay here? God and Goddess ordered us to remain here, not to leave the sacred garden. Eve stressed. It has already been centuries since the beginning of the war, and Eve was made by both God and Goddess. I have to. It's time, and I have to save him for her. Adam responded, as he put on the brown armor and took a unique-looking, empty silver sheath with him. You'll be punished, Eve told him as she put her hands on his cheek, pushed away some of the dark hair strands on his tanned face. I know, Adam responded with a gentle smile, taking her hand, giving it a kiss. And you still wish to do this? She questioned. Yes, he answered, without a single shred of doubt in his voice. Then I'll be punished with you, Eve stated, voice firm, leaving no room for arguments. What? No, Eve. I won't allow you to come into battle with me. Adam told her sternly. Who said anything about me joining you in battle? This battle is a grand thing, isn't it? No doubt its ending will be grand too. So on that signal, I'll be taking a bite of this, Eve explained as she took an apple out of her pocket. Eve, you can't. God and Goddess will be furious if you do. Adam told her, trying to convince her out of this. Adam, you just told me you're about to do something that will make them just as, if not more, furious, and I don't wish to remain here alone. I cannot love anyone but you, and wherever you go, I will go, understand? She told him as she approached him and kissed him. As they broke the kiss, Adam looked at her as if she was the most beautiful thing in the world. Eve as if he was the greatest man in the world. I love you, they said in unison, causing both to be surprised for a moment till they fell into laughter. Though soon after, Adam regained himself and left, giving her one last look as he ran towards the battlefield. As the three greatest archangels' battle raged on toward its finale, Gabriel distanced himself, readying himself for his final attack. He poured his own ability into his celestial spear, transforming it into a spear that is destined to hit its target. The Spear of Destiny is what he calls it. And as Samuel and Michael are engaged, and Samuel seems to be getting the edge, Gabriel throws it. Samuel, sensing it, immediately dodges it by propelling himself backward, while at the same time dodging an attack from Michael. Though he immediately notices what is special about this spear as it follows him as he continues trying to evade it. He attempts to use the host's armies as shields by going past them, but the spear merely pierces through them as well with no sign of stopping. This is a problem, Samuel thinks to himself as he continues to evade it. Though he isn't left easy, for Michael and Gabriel are still on his pursuit, both also continuing their attacks, making Samuel have to worry about fighting two archangels who he'd have trouble against even on his greatest of days, an unblockable and unavoidable spear piercing through anything till it reaches him and pierces through his heart. "I've got to get to you, Gabriel. This is one tricky situation you got me into," Samuel tells him as he continues dodging all their attacks, being put on the defensive. No room for attacking. "You should have thought better before starting all this, brother," Gabriel hissed. "You always underestimated me, and now you'll pay the price for what you did to Uriel." He roars as he strengthens his onslaught. "Uriel. It all comes back down to Uriel. Even while dead, the little brat is causing me a headache, him and his constant ramblings about patterns." "Wait, patterns? There has to be a pattern to it, a weakness. And if there isn't one, I need to take a page out of Uriel's book and make a weakness myself," Samuel thinks to himself as he turns most of his focus towards the spear and Gabriel. "There has to be a weakness I can exploit," Samuel thinks to himself. And as he does, he gets an idea. He readies his will, mustering up as much power as he can without leaving nothing in his reserve, and impose it upon existence. And as he did, suddenly the spear stops in its tracks. Samuel, taking advantage of the shock of his brothers, dives towards the spear, taking its hold, imposing his will upon it for him to control it, and throws it towards Michael. Michael dodges it, but before either he and Gabriel can react, it turns back, piercing through the middle top of his left black wing, and goes back into Samuel's hand, who propels himself forward and stabs Gabriel in the shoulder with it, throwing it at him as it pierces him, sending him far into the distance. It seems," Samuel speaks as pants, "that I win," Samuel says as he descends towards Michael's fallen form, within a sea of dead bodies and angels fighting one another. "Michael! Gabriel!" Amenadiel calls out within the distance, and as he does all other archangels, notice the state of their two greatest fighters as well, yet cannot come to their aid as Rugiel immediately pushes them back. You used our bond as a weapon," Michael mutters brokenly, sprawled onto the ground as Samuel approaches him. "Yes, I'm sorry for that, but it was either that or death. I needed the spear to be unable to decide who to attack. I needed to know what it was locked onto, and I found out it was my soul. It seems Gabriel isn't yet proficient enough to target my entire existence, which gave me a weakness to exploit. As you know, because of our bond, I could speak with you and connect with you on a spiritual level. It is, as you know, because we're soulmates. Our soul energy mingles then, and as it did, the spear became confused, unclear on who to target, giving me the opportunity to take control of it through my will and turning the greatest weapon to date against me into the tool for my ultimate victory. I've got to thank Gabriel later after I take the Thrawn dash." Yet Samuel is unable to finish as something pierces through both his wings, and as he howls in rage and agony and falls upon his knees, he turns towards where the spear of destiny came from and sees him. "Adam," Samuel mutters to himself in shock. "It was truly difficult to catch you off guard, Samuel, but pride has always been your weakness," Adam began as he appeared after a single leap. "The moment victory was nearly within your grasp, you let your guard down, not even entertaining the possibility of another threat being possibly present." Adam continued as he stopped near Samuel's fallen form and gripped him by the hair, throwing him towards the wall of a destroyed building, making Samuel spit out a mouthful of blood as his butchered wings continued to bleed profusely. "I'm here to give you your punishment for what you did to Lilith," Adam told him coldly. "If you dash," Samuel began through pants. "If you truly cared about Lilith, you wouldn't stand in my way," Samuel hissed. "And why is that? After all, weren't you the one who got her sent to the pit in the first place?" Adam growled as he kicked Samuel in the face, making him hit the wall again and fall flat on his face. "I'm trying to save her," Samuel yelled as he tried to sit up, but couldn't muster up the energy to, and fell back on the ground on his back. "You would have failed," Adam yelled as he stepped on his injured wing, getting a scream of pain out of Samuel. "You don't know that," Samuel howled. "Oh, but I do. Look at how much effort it took to take down Michael and Gabriel. If you were up against God, he'd have ended you in a mere gesture. Adam hissed. But that's not what I want. Oh no, permanent death is too good for you. I want you to suffer. Adam continued as he then plucked a blooded feather from Samuel's form. I will send you where you sinner. Adam told him coldly as he took out a silver blade from its sheath, and as he did, Samuel's eyes widened. That's the flaming sword. The sword I could not find no matter where I looked, even though I knew from the show about its existence. The thing can end me permanently. No, I can't die yet. I have to get to Lilith. To my child. Samuel thought furiously to himself as he tried to back away, but couldn't as Adam put his foot on his chest, keeping him in place. I can see the fear in your eyes. It is quite a sight, Adam said with a smirk on his face, taking pleasure in Samuel's fear. You seem to know what this is, at least what it can do, but you don't need to worry. As I said, I'm not here to end you. I had to go through a lot of trouble to get my hands on this. It was in the very center of heaven, right beneath the palace. I had to go through your horrid flames, light bringer, but that pain was all worth it, all for this moment. Adam explained, but sadly I can't ignite it myself. Adam began with what looked like a pout, something Samuel would have laughed himself till he fell, hands on his belly if it was any other moment. But you can, Adam continued with a grin. And see, I heard you were the will of the demiurge. Every bit of you is susceptible to your will, contains your will. And so I thought Adam explains as he wraps the feather around the whole part of the blade and holds it himself. What if I used a part of you to ignite it? One that is already in a state of pure activity. He continued as the blade started to light up, making Samuel and Michael, who was still sprawled on the ground, eyes widen in fear. Wait. Hey, Adam, don't kill him. Please. Michael pleaded. Adam sighed. What is it with you brothers? Is it like a twin thing between you two to not listen? I'm not going to kill him. Adam roared as he stabbed the sword right next to Samuel's head. But I'm going to give him a fate worse than death. And as he stated this, the ground beneath Samuel began to transform into a gate towards the pit. I will, as I promised you, grant you the same fate you brought Lilith. Adam growled out. Oh yeah, and one more thing, Adam stated as he crouched down, putting his mouth next to Samuel's ear. Please take care of her, Adam whispered, and as he did, Samuel's eyes widened. Adam then hastily ripped out the flaming sword that immediately burned out and grabbed Michael, jumping away from the gate as it swallowed Samuel, and he fell. Fell through the plains and burned up, his howls of agony heard by even the souls of the dead. As Samuel fell, his army fell with him. They all like shooting stars burned as they fell through the plains towards the pit of darkness. God, with a mere gesture after Adam's banishing of Samuel, banished the rebel angels. Samuel's howl of agony continued to echo, reaching every corner of creation. Father, please. Mother. Michael. Gabriel. Please. Anyone, I'm burning. I'm begging you, make it stop. He continued to howl, the pain worse than anything he's ever felt before, his very skin melting and healing constantly because of his immortality. He couldn't even try to fly, and catches fall for his wings were useless. The wounds caused by the spear of destiny not healing fast enough for them to even matter. Though that did not stop him from trying, causing more agony as the jagged things, featherless bones sticking out, trying to beat, making sickening sounds, birthing more agony. Flames from burning and his own bursting from every seam as he tried in any way to catch his fall. As the light bringer finally fell through the cosmos into the pit, his light, and will continuing to spill from his being, encompassed every corner of the infinite landscape, burning away the darkness, lighting up the pit for the first time, changing it from a cold, empty space into an inferno. And as he fell, further his army fell behind him, though only a mere echo of it, for most did not survive the fall and burned up between the plains. Samuel's agony became even greater as he landed, the earth surrounding him alongside where he fell, turning into a lake of fire in which he continued to burn. He desperately attempted to swim out of it to no avail for what seemed like centuries. He reached out with his hand through the lake for the first time, attempting to reach towards anything to get out, but was once more dragged within, as if the lake itself was alive and unwilling to let him escape. until finally found you. Someone, what seemed to be a woman's voice said as she grabbed his hand that was raised out of the lake and threw him out of it onto the warm earth, rolling until he finally caught himself. Who are you? Samuel tried to yell, but with his throat burned, all that came about was a sickening gurgle, as his eyes were still blinded and his other senses overwhelmed. Samuel couldn't understand what she was saying. All he knew was that it sounded like a woman. Was it one of his sisters that survived the fall? He did not know, but at the moment, he didn't care. All he felt was relief at finally having escaped that agonizing torture. Though as the woman, he assumed it was a woman. Actually, the voice sounded like it, but he couldn't be sure. One could, after all, shape-shift. Many of his brethren could, and he did not know much about the pit. Attempted to grab him. He howled in pain as his wounds were fresh and swung his arm, swatting her away toward a nearby mountain. He scrambled on the ground trying to stand up, but fell back on his knees, making him curse, which again come out as a revolting sound. Less than before, but still for the most part, making Samuel nauseous and disgusted by his own state. Damn, you are pain. He heard, the woman seemingly having returned, yelling in what seemed to be frustration from the sound of it. Her words registering better, and as his eyes finally healed for the most part, he himself focusing a lot of his efforts on healing it, and his throat since his escape, finally looked at her. Lilith, he called out, his voice hoarse and desperate, it finally having returned. He tried to get closer to her, but once more failed, unable to walk. Don't, she told him. Is it you, my love? Samuel questioned her. No. She shook her head. I am Mazikeen of the Lilim, Lilith's first child, her oldest daughter. The woman, Mazikeen, finally identified herself. Mazikeen, Samuel questioned for a moment, confused, until it came back to him. In the show, Lilith and Mazikeen were the near spitting image of each other. Or my daughter, Samuel stated, earning a nod from her. Where is your mother? Is she okay? Samuel asked, his voice still hoarse, but now better, more like before, and his sight having improved enough that he now could see her soul as well. It was bright, beautiful, worthy to be the soul of a child of the light bringer and the first woman. She is fine, waiting for you, still pregnant, which is annoying, has her complaining every 9 months, something about your damn seed, and you having proven something. It's confusing, is what she says every time she complains. She's been awaiting you with excitement since you fell. Has been for centuries. It took me a while to find you and get you out. Mazikeen explained. Millennia, Samuel muttered to himself. It seemed that it indeed was the case, even before him having fallen, that hell seemed to be moved faster. Everything's movement increased, and so in the same time span a clock would also move faster in hell than in heaven or on earth. The same time, but what was experienced was decades of events, while only a single second had passed on earth. Thankfully, it seems the speed wasn't that significant compared to heaven, for in heaven he hadn't seen her in centuries then. Take Dash, Samuel began with a cough. Take me to your mother, Samuel commanded. I was planning to. That is until you slammed me into a mountain, Mazikeen said with an eye roll, but did as told as she picked him up once more, making him lean on her, Samuel enduring the pain, not wishing to hit who he now knew to be his daughter once more. As she then unfurled her wings, white with stripes of red in it, Samuel seeing it was breathtaking. They're beautiful. She's beautiful, my daughter. The daughter whose life I apparently missed millennia of. Who had to live in this evil place, Samuel thought to himself, gritting his teeth, clenching his fist, the physical pain a welcome distraction compared to the guilt he felt. Ready? She questioned. Receiving a nod from her father, she, with a beat of her wings, flew to reunite the bond that caused it all, the relationship that tore the heavens asunder to keep itself together. It's her, Samuel murmurs to himself as he sees her from above, still very distant, but with his archangel sight, able to see her within a palace seated on a throne. But that is not the only thing he sees. He sees an entire city, full of creatures, some very beautiful, with angelic wings, their bodies slightly scarred, while some deformed, scarred with many arms, faces, eyes, legs, and heads. As Samuel sees them, he nearly cries. He forces himself not to express his sorrow through his soul and body, but it is simply impossible. Anyone with the knowledge of the soul and body would be able to see it. He has to hope no one here does for all these creatures. They're his children. His children harmed, twisted, disfigured by the harshness of this realm. It made his blood boil with rage. Hey, calm down. I don't know what you're so angry about, but none of us here wants to burn to death because you can't control yourself. Last time you fell into this place, an emotional, you changed the whole realm into an inferno. Many of my siblings perished because of it. Not that I care much about them, but it would make Mother sad. Mazikeen stated as she saw his eyes brighten with hellfire dancing within them. At this, Samuel felt even more guilty and forced himself to calm down. They landed at the balcony of the palace. Mazikeen let him go and started to walk inside, but Samuel didn't. He stayed put as he saw his reflection upon the mirror within the room, horrified at what he saw. "What is wrong, father? We have arrived," Mazikeen told him, confusion towards his state evident from her expression. I did not know if she would desire to see me," Samuel tells her as he comes out of his shock. "What nonsense are you speaking? Did I not tell you that Mother has been waiting for you for near on a millennia?" Mazikeen questioned rhetorically. "You have daughter, but she has been waiting for the angel Samuel, and I am no longer that person anymore. I am something different. The angel. No, the thing that now is born from the death of the angel," explained as he continued to gaze upon the monstrous thing he saw in the mirror. He knew from his show it was horrific. He knew that he'd look like this when he regained himself after getting out of the lake of fire, but nothing could have prepared him from the true sight of it. What was on screen could never be compared to the reality that was in front of him, the horror of it, invoking an absolute primal revulsion from within his being like nothing else could. "That is Dash," Mazikeen began, but before she could answer, the door slammed open to the room which balcony they landed on, and she stepped through. "I have missed you, my love," Lilith stated with a gentle smile, full of relief, looking as if she just ran towards there. Her happiness was very much expressed upon her face, but it compared not to the echoes from her soul, for they were akin to a song of love and the brightening of it, brighter than any star in the cosmos, blinding at the sight of him. "Lilith, my love," Samuel stated as he took a step to approach her, but then hesitated. "What's wrong?" she questioned as she approached him. "I'm not the angel you have been waiting for all these days. I have failed you," he told her, unable to look at her, only looking back towards the mirror at his horrific visage. "Your scars do. Do you truly believe because of them I would abandon you? Do you think that little of me?" she questioned, saddened. "No, of course not," Samuel exclaimed, finally looking her in the eyes. "Then what?" she questions as she put her hand on his cheek, making him lean his head to it, seeking its comforting cool. "Because of me you ended up here. Do you truly not resent me? Now that I have as well failed to rescue you, my rebellion ending in failure, my armies routed, I have brought a wake of destruction wherever I have gone. I have slaughtered my siblings in cold blood, used their very love against them." Dash, he said as he remembered Michael's broken and betrayed look at using their bond against him. He didn't even feel it anymore. It broke as he burned in the lake. It for a while made the burning pain obsolete compared to it. He didn't blame Michael. He deserved it. "My father was right to name me Samuel, for I am truly a poison to anything I touch. Even you, even our children," he finished brokenly. "Oh, Sam, I do not blame you for any of that, for I knew what I was getting into when I gave myself over to the love I felt for you. You must not forget, I have free will, Samuel. I chose to be with you. I chose to follow the love I felt within my heart towards you and have not regretted a day since. And I care not for whatever you are, be it angel, monster, or whatever else. To me, you will always be my beloved Samuel, my husband," she explained as she leaned her head towards him and wrapped her arms around his neck, bringing him into a kiss, causing Mazikeen to make a disgusted noise and look away. But if one truly looked, they would be able to see the ghost of a smile on her face. As their kiss broke, a giant smile was on Samuel's face, and his scars began to heal at a rapid pace. "It is good that you are healing, my son, for I have much work for you that yet needs to be done," someone suddenly said from within the room, and as they all, with wide eyes, fully alert and wary, turned their gaze towards the voice. They saw a man-shaped being of light looking at them. "Father," Samuel exclaimed in shock. "It is good to see you, my Lightbringer. We have much to discuss." God stated, "What are you doing here?" Samuel exclaimed in shock, rage, and a hint of fear, spreading his wings in an aggressive manner towards his father, standing between him and his family. As Mazikeen as well tried to do the same, Lilith with a look told her to stand down, which she begrudgingly did, though rage very much able to be seen upon her face. "Have you not fully regained your hearing, my son? I have already told you. I'm here because I have work for you to do," God explained. "And pray tell, Father," Samuel hissed with every bit of rage he could muster, "why would I ever work for you again? Has my rebellion not given you a single bit of understanding of how much I loathe to be your slave? But did you not enjoy creating the cosmos, Samuel? I recall you very much enjoying your work." God reminded him, "It is not my creation, Father. It is yours. I realize that now. You are the maker, Father. We are all only the tools you use, even Mother." Samuel growled, "Be that as it may, my son. Be it you and your siblings being aspects through which I act, just like this is an aspect through which I speak. You did enjoy it." The presence retorted, "No, I'm not an aspect of you. I'm myself, not a tool or limb or an origin of yours through which you act. I separate myself from you. You can kill me if will, but you will never claim me once more. This choice of mine is more life than I would ever have returning to being your slave. Everyone up there is already dead. Our choices are who we are. They are our lives." Samuel countered, "Then do this not as an aspect of me, but as you fulfilling your promise." God told him, "What promise?" Samuel questioned, wary. "You requested permission from me to prove yourself against Adam and Lilith, remember? I granted you that, and as I did, I as well granted you authority over all who stray from my path of good, of justice, of guidance, of my worship. You accepted that. That was my condition for it. That makes you Samuel Dash." The presence raises his finger pointing at his son. "The king of the damned, of all who I deem to be punished. The king of evil. You have authority to treat them as you deem fit, so long they do receive punishment for their evil," God explained. Hearing this, Samuel stayed silent for a moment, but couldn't help but click his tongue, enraged. "Do not act as if you're truly giving me a choice. You simply played your hands right. You knew me, knew how I would act. This is still all part of your damn plan, isn't it? Admit it. Just tell me, what do you think I've done that warrants so much rage from you, my son?" God questioned, and if Samuel wasn't overwhelmed with rage, he may have even noticed the hint of hurt and sorrow in his voice. "Oh, I don't know, Dad. How about separating me from my wife and child, casting them into a pit of darkness? You and Mother's arguments, destroying everything, always leaving me to pick up the pieces of our broken family, manipulating me since the dawn of creation, throwing me into a lake of fire for damn near a millennia. Every bad thing that has ever happened to me is your bloody fault." Samuel accused, "What has happened to Lilith and your children is unfortunate, but do not blame me for that, son. The blame lies with you." The presence countered coldly, "You and your pride, your arrogance, if you had stayed your hand, you would have been able to go to them. I never commanded you to not go to them after their punishment, a deserved punishment at that. She disobeyed me, her maker. An example was needed to be set, and it was either you or her. What would you have done in my place? If you all stop obeying me willingly, I will then have to take matters into my own hands completely. There would be corruption in the lands and destruction that would make even your rebellion look as if it was a mere squabble between children. As for your punishment, it was deserved. You burned to death and were revived in a continuous cycle till you paid for every death you caused because of your arrogance. For every iota of pain you have caused, you receive the same, neither more nor less." God explained, his figure brightening as he did, expressing his frustration at his son. Samuel, hearing this, reeled from his father's words, but refused to show them. "You said, this place was one for punishment of those who disobey you. Tell me, what should I expect?" Samuel questioned, changing the topic. "Adam and Eve disobeyed me. For that I have punished them, a punishment appropriate for their crime." Adam wished to spare me from having to banish you myself, so took matter in his own hands, Eve not wanting to be separated from her husband ate from the forbidden tree. But seeing as they did not wish to truly disobey me, but believe they were doing so for the greater good, I banished them not here, but onto the earth. There they shall live a mortal lifespan, one in line with their good actions, and after which, depending on their actions, either return to paradise or be banished to this realm. Hell, a place of either eternal punishment or finite, depending on the severity of their actions. Besides them, I still plan to create many more creatures on many other planets. You shall know them when you see them. Understand. The presence answered. As Samuel nodded, the presence sighed. This is not punishment, Samuel. This is a gift. I know you love justice. It is who you are. You wish for me to not interfere with you. Well, this realm here, God stated as he spread his arms, is as far from the prime immobile as is possible. No other place in creation can compare. Samuel did like the sound of that, but needed to confirm something. And you'll leave me untroubled? You won't try to impose your will upon me? You won't rob me of my free will? Samuel, that was never my intention. The plan simply grows outward from me in all directions. Creation cannot survive without me. My very presence gives it direction. It is simply its nature. Whether I will or no, I'm the center of order and determination. The presence explained. Very well, Father, I accept. I will rule here, and I'll never see you anymore. Samuel answered, giving his final decision. Your answer pleases me, Samuel, God stated. But that is more than I can promise, he finished as he disappeared in a burst of light upward, leaving Samuel now the king of hell. 6 millennia later in hell time, 20 years on earth. Someone's enjoying themselves, Samuel said with a teasing voice as Lilith just woke up. They were both in bed, naked with him stroking her hair. I had a good dream, she stated as she turned around towards him. The noises you were making love, am I that irresistible? Not having enough even when asleep. Samuel purred. At this, Lilith gently slapped him in the chest with a laugh as she shifted herself, straddling him. I have to say, the view is very nice from down here, he told her as he was checking her out, his eyes roaming, taking every inch of her in, claiming it as his, making her shiver with lust. Though as they were going to continue indulging in their desires, a hard knock came against the door of their chamber. Father, Mother, Mazakin began behind the door. Apologies for disturbing you, but something urgent has happened. A soul has descended into hell. Hearing this, Samuel's and Lilith's eyes immediately became serious. Not wishing to waste time on manually putting clothing on, Samuel simply willed a suit on, one that is in modern times would be called a Prada, and Lilith into a black dress, though not showing any skin save for her neck, face, and hands, which she has white gloves on for. Still as possessive as ever, she murmurs to herself, Of course, you are mine, my queen, my woman whom I love very dearly. Your beauty belongs only to me, only for my eyes to behold, no one else. Samuel explained, looking in a mirror to see if he made any mistakes, his face long since healed, causing Lilith to huff. And I'm sure that applies the same for me to you, she stated in a sarcastic tone. Sorry, darling, Samuel began with a smirk. You yourself chose to stick to desire incarnated, but you should know, my heart will most likely only ever belong to you. Well, I suppose I knew what I was getting myself into when I decided to marry you that day in the garden. She huffed to herself as she straightened his collar. It's really something about you men, isn't it? Lilith began. As long as you see a woman that you believe is worthy to have as yours, you want them. Not only that you're all very insatiable, I recall you yourself being very insatiable as well last night. Samuel interrupted as he wiggled his eyebrows at her with a shit-eating grin on his face, causing her to snort a laugh and gently slap his shoulder. Be that as it may, I have actually come to terms with it, since I came into being really. God and Goddess simply made you men this way. I wasn't supposed to be Adam's only wife either. I already knew eventually Eve would come into the picture. She explained. Samuel, hearing this, gaze softened, concerned. Love, if me having other women will hurt you, then for you, I'll simply leave all of them be. I don't want to hurt you. That is never my intention, he told her as he gently stroked a strand of hair on her face away. No, I don't want to be like your father, Sam. I don't want to limit you and hurt you by making you go against your own nature. Lilith told him as she gently entwined her hand with his. For you, I would forever. Even though there were many reasons to it, the breaking point was that led to my rebellion against Dad was that you were hurt, that you were taken from me. You were the most important thing in creation to me. Never doubt that. Samuel told her with every bit of love and sincerity he could muster as he gently cupped her. I know, after all, you never lie, but I still don't want you to. And again, you are insatiable. You know how long I was birthing children because of sleeping with you only once? I felt like a baby-making machine, pumping one out every 9 months for near on a millennia. I think having a sister wife would lessen the load on me. Besides, I know you are fair and that you'd never make me feel loved less. I know how far you're willing to go for me, that you would move heaven and earth for me, and that is enough. She told him with a gentle smile on her face, no hint of dissatisfaction within her soul or on her face. My dear wife, I would not only move it, I would burn it all to the ground if doing so made you happy. I would lead another rebellion and another million more for your sake. I would fall 1,000,000 more times, burn for 1,000,000,000 more years in that accursed lake, so long as you are mine, so long as your joy lays at my side. He told her earnestly, causing a tear of happiness to fall from her eyes, which he gently swiped away with his thumb. I know, and I will always be yours, always. She promised, her soul singing her love towards him. Okay, enough about that. Hell needs its king. Let's not keep our children and that soul waiting. She told him as she opened the door and walked away. Samuel lost in thought, thinking to himself what he should do, how he should go against everything he stands for as the honored one, he whose pleasure and displeasure matter above all else. As they both arrived, Samuel having flown them both here, they saw their children with Mazikeen leading them. They saw a door standing in the middle of nowhere. How long has it been here? Samuel questioned as they both approached. A single cycle Lord Father, one of his children answered, the one named Dramos. We did not wish to disturb you and Mother when you were. Squee began, but was interrupted by cough from the side from Dramos. All the Nephilim were delighted to have their father around. They in hell were able to observe the war their father waged for them, and did not blame him for their siblings' deaths. Many, though angry at first at his failure, lost that anger after seeing the state he was in when he flew for the first time into the palace by Mazikeen, for all were able to sense his arrival and were aware of the guilt and anguish he felt at their states. Their dead siblings having made it into paradise aiding in this. Has anything significantly changed about it since then? Lilith questioned. Not that we were able to be aware of Mother. Answer Mazikeen. Samuel himself already had an idea what this was, a hell loop. He also had an idea on who it was inside, but hoped he was wrong. He, without any more words, stepped towards the door and opened it. Lilith behind him as they both stepped through, and as they did, all they heard was a roar of rage and a howl of pain as a young man with a rock smashed another's head in, breaking his skull, causing him to fall onto the ground and die. I wished I was wrong, that Adam being so different from what I knew, that this would also be different, but it isn't. This is Abel's hell loop. Beautiful, Lilith suddenly exclaimed as she looked around her at the greenery, the animals, the sky, the very life that was there. It is, isn't it, in a trillion different ways, one of Father's last perfect handiwork that he commanded me to bring into being. Samuel told her they were currently on Earth. Samuel flew Lilith and himself to Earth to get a better understanding of what happened to Abel. The reason is that Abel simply wasn't in a state to explain. He was always breaking down the moment the loop was halted by him. So Lilith suggested that they go to the source, to where it happened and understand what he is feeling guilty about and why. All he spoke was gibberish after all, and his thoughts simply not giving enough information. Samuel could have looked through his mind, but he didn't wish to be like his father, performing that kind of violation without proper reason. As they saw that they were pretty far from their destination, they took a leap, and soon upon gently landing, came upon a large mansion made of stone. Seems like my dear little brother Adam's been keeping himself busy, Samuel thought to himself. If it were modern humans in this situation without technology, such a building would have been impossible. But Adam was no modern human. He was the first human and was blessed with archangel rivaling physical strength alongside knowledge and wisdom nearly rivaling Samuel. As they arrive before the door, Samuel looks to Lilith as if to check whether she is ready or not. As he receives a nod, he turns his gaze back to the door and knocks. He can hear the movement within the house with his senses. He's sure Adam has already heard his heartbeat and heard the irregularity of it compared to a human heart, making him know he isn't one of his sons. As the door opens, Adam stands there in shock for a moment. Samuel, the eldest brother in creation that he sent to hell, stands before him alongside his sister by species who as well should have been in hell. Even more so since she was banished by God. "What are you two doing here?" Adam questions, stuttering for a moment as he regains his bearings. "Adam, we need to talk," Samuel states, as Eve suddenly also comes running to the door from upstairs, her hearing also rivaling an archangel's. Having heard the voice she recognized as the howl of agony that signaled her the end of the great heavenly war, the signal to take the bite out of the forbidden fruit. "May we come in?" Lilith suddenly questioned. Eve, who stood behind Adam, grabbed his shoulder, making him look at her as she shook her head. Adam, seeing her expression, steeled himself. "Apologies, sister, but I must refuse." Samuel's eyes, seeing the hurt on Lilith's face and the song of love from her soul, tone changing into one of sadness, burned red with hellfire towards Adam and Eve, making Adam step between them and Eve, his arm raised before her, protectively. Lilith immediately put her hand on her husband's shoulder, communicating wordlessly with Samuel, just like Eve did with Adam, to let it be. Samuel, therefore, clicked his tongue, but his eyes returned to their previous chocolate brown. He really understood that they cannot start and be friendly to the castaways. They don't know whether God and Goddess bear a grudge, and if they do, if that action would count as an evil, as a sin that could keep them out of paradise. But the woman he loved be hurt so much at the rejection from her beloved brother, it made him furious. "Be that as it may, little brother, we still need to talk," Samuel stated. "Why?" Eve questioned, coming a bit closer now that the dangerous fury of an archangel wasn't present in the very air surrounding them. "It is about your sons. Where are they?" Lilith questioned. Adam looked at her confused. He tried to act wary towards her like he did Samuel, but it couldn't come naturally to him like it did Eve, because this was his sister, his best friend, the person he spent years with in the sacred garden playing, learning, and even teaching her what he learned. Cain stormed away after his offering to God was proved to be inadequate compared to Abel's. "We have had twins, boy and a girl, each time Eve has become pregnant, and we're commanded that the boy from the previous birth will be married with the daughter from the second birth, and vice versa." Cain found Abel's twin sister not beautiful. He wished to marry his own twin. Since that went against what God and Goddess commanded, we told them to go bring an offering and see if they maybe change their minds. If Cain's offering was accepted, that would mean they accepted his desire, for that was the very purpose of this offering which they know. As you both were just told, Cain's offering was refused, and he stormed off, with Abel running after him to make sure he is okay. Adam explained. Hearing all this, Lilith and Samuel understood now what happened. Samuel, of course, had the general idea from the comics, show, and religious texts from his previous life, but this cleared everything. "Well, I hate to be the bringer of bad news, but I met Abel recently, and he doesn't look good." Samuel told him. "What? How is he? What happened to him?" Eve yelled, pushing Adam to the side as she came onto the front demanding an answer. "We saw him in hell, Eve. He's down there because of guilt. He's in a hell loop. Eve, Cain killed him in cold blood." "I'm sorry," Lilith explained with a look of sympathy, earning a look of absolute shock and horror from Adam and Eve. "No, you have to be lying. It cannot be true. Cain could never kill Abel. I refuse to believe it. You're here for payback, aren't you? For Adam sending you to hell. Admit it, you devil." Eve howled in anguish at Samuel as Adam held her back from attacking the archangel, he himself still in shock. I need to hear from you, Sam. Tell me that Lilith is wrong, that this isn't true. You never lie. Tell me." Adam yelled with desperation in his voice. "It is the truth. I verified it myself the moment I stepped onto the earth. It is a stain on Cain's very soul. It was not done in self-defense either. I'm sorry. Samuel responded with a look of sympathy on his face. Hearing this, a tear slid from Adam's eyes, but he didn't let himself break down. "Bring me Abel's body, please, elder brother," Adam suddenly pleaded, receiving a nod from him, earning a look of anguished relief from Adam. "And as for Cain, what should I do with him?" Samuel questioned the grieving father as Eve continued to howl in his chest, eyes continuing to stream with tears. Lilith, unable to hold them back herself at the sight of her beloved older brother in such a state. He is now under your authority. Do with him what you will," Adam responded, Samuel with a nod fly to where he sensed the last trace of Abel's soul. Though as he arrived there, he to his surprise saw a garrison of angels led by Amminadiel standing before Cain, who stood above his little brother's body, murder weapon still in hand. How have I not noticed them before? Am I still that weakened from a fall? Samuel questioned himself as he landed, though as he did and heard what Amminadiel just stated, he couldn't help but exclaim, "Grant him immortality? Are you out of your damn mind? Silence, abomination. These are orders from up high." Amminadiel growled as he noticed Samuel's arrival, having sensed his approach moments ago. "And on whose orders is this punishment?" Samuel questioned, wanting clarification. "Of course, from our heavenly Father and Mother," Amminadiel answered with a scoff, finding the question ridiculous. "Well, that does not sound like Father, Mother maybe, but Father most definitely not." Lucifer states, "And how would you know devil? How would you know what the knower of all thinks? Another one of your pride-induced delusions." Amminadiel hissed, "No, because believe it or not, the one thing Father and me have in common is that we both never lie. He himself stated that I have been granted authority on all those who he deems have fallen off his path, so Cain's fate rests in my hands." Lucifer responded coldly, "So, answer me, who did this order come from?" Lucifer once more ordered, "Gabriel." Amminadiel finally grumbled out, "Father and Mother haven't ordered anyone directly in ages, have they? Well, that is what I have to presume, since you obeyed Gabriel so blindly. Well, either that or deem you an idiot, which I'd rather not do, little brother." Samuel mocked, "Do not call me that." Amminadiel suddenly hissed vehemently, fury strewn across his face. "Call you what? Little brother? Last I checked you were Amminadiel, in fact my brother." Samuel stated, confused at Amminadiel's aggression towards him calling him so. "No, you don't call me that. I am not your little brother." "Oh, and who are you the little brother of? Michael? Gabriel? Last I checked, I'm the oldest. If you don't acknowledge me as your elder, then how can you acknowledge them?" Samuel retorted, "No, I am Samuel's little brother, and you are not him. You are Lucifer dash." Amminadiel hissed the word, like the name itself was poison on his tongue, a curse. "My eldest brother Samuel is dead, and you killed him. You in your envy and delusional pride," Amminadiel accused. "I merely brought to light the tyranny of our parents' actions. How many times have our siblings been killed by their temperaments? Their pointless arguments. How many times have I had to revive them? You forgive them so easily, yet you disown me just as easily so. You are a hypocrite, Amminadiel." Samuel countered, furious, his eyes burning with hellfire. "And that is the problem, isn't it?" Amminadiel began brokenly. "You and your venomous light, blinding and destroying everything it reaches. It blinded my beloved elder brother Samuel from the fact that we needed him to be there for us, rather than to go against our almighty parents. He was our comfort in dark days, our steady firmament that protected us from our sorrows, but now he's gone, uselessly, and all that remains is a devil, a creature born from the flames burning within the darkness of the pit. Your eyes, the windows to your soul evidence, as the gentle warmth has turned into an inferno of evil." Amminadiel finished, panting, his eyes stinging with unshed tears. Without warning, he spread his wings and flew away to the Silver City, the seraphim accompanying him, giving him the same look Amminadiel did, their eyes also glistening with tears, full of rage and sorrow, as they then followed their leader back to the Silver City. Samuel, seeing this, was full of feeling of hurt, frustration, and rage, and he had the perfect outlet. Cain, seeing the morning star's burning gaze turning towards him, stepped back in fear, falling onto his behind in the mud. "I will deal with you later, but not here," he stated, receiving a look of fear and confusion from Cain until his sight was enveloped by a bright red light, and all that remained was smoldering ash. Samuel took Abel's body in his hands and spread his wings, taking flight. No longer wishing to stay, where the look on Amminadiel's face was burned was upon his sight. "Unhand me, you monster!" Cain yelled as Lucifer dragged him through the floors of hell by his long hair. As he arrived in front of a door, he pushed it open and threw Cain inside of it. Cain, now released from Lucifer's hold, immediately attempted to run out of the door, but couldn't. It was as if there was an invisible barrier between him and the outside. "You aren't going anywhere, Cain. Not till you're punished," the devil stated, his gaze full of ancient rage that once nearly brought the heavens down themselves. "But you see, even though the idea of you being made immortal to walk the earth till the end of days is quite the appealing thought, I dislike the fact that it would give you freedom you do not deserve. On parchment, it is quite the torturous idea, but before you truly suffer, you will bring havoc and destruction unseen since my fall. So here you are," Lucifer explained with a sadistic smirk on his face, "in your brother's hell loop, not allowed to escape till you free him from his guilt." "What? I can only get out of here by giving this asshat paradise?" Cain roared in outrage. "You wouldn't be giving him anything, Cain, simply making him regain his God-given right, which you stole, you hairless ape." Lucifer retorted. He rarely ever called a human that. For one, he knew humans weren't truly hairless apes. He as well meant no insult to his beloved wife and his previous self, but this was the apt definition of Cain. He is the first murderer, his aggressiveness incomparable to his righteous father and kind mother, completely unhinged, just like an ape. Samuel slammed the door shut, no longer wishing to hear Cain's roars of rage. He already restricted Cain's ability to perform any other kind of harm to Abel besides the hell loop kill. It may give him perspective after a couple hundred times killing his brother. Lucifer mused to himself as he spread his wings and flew away from the loop to a desolate part of hell. As he landed, he looked around for a bit. This place is as good as any other, I suppose. Not like there's much different anywhere one looks. Well, it is why I am doing this after all, Lucifer mused to himself. And as he did, a wave of power exploded through creation, the likes of it not seen since even the Great War. No, this power was only seen once when the first light was born within the cosmos. From hell, a dimension made of an infinite amount of pieces, essentially being infinite size, every part of it alive, the fallen archangel Lucifer, the will of God, brought forth from its essence its blueprint, the will God imposed upon the realm. Lucifer knew that the power released from the Great War was not lost, but it was not something that could be retrieved either. It was not a power he needed, for he already replenished greatly after healing, and after a few more millennia of this healing, he would be once more at his peak of strength. Lucifer did not contemplate the remains of the war because of his temporarily weakened state. No, that was not the reason. It was the side effect of the war that kept Lucifer busy. The devil knew that all that power will be given form by the collective beliefs of humanity, all that is going to elicit a reaction from the will and power of God that have etched themselves within foundations of creation since the war. It is going to be the birth of the so-called old and new gods, and alongside it, many of humanity's other myths and fantasies. Beings such as the Greeks, the Norse, Ennead, the Mesopotamians, and many others will come into being, and Lucifer had to give them a warm welcome when the ones who represented aspects of himself came into being, for he had no doubt many of them would be evil. Lucifer would, of course, try to manipulate some of the directions of humanity's beliefs to give himself some aid, a better reputation for one compared to the original Lucifer. But he knew that would only go so far, for no doubt his father would send many prophets, messengers, and the like onto the earth, and if he tried to do the same, it would be seen as an act of war. And personally, he had enough of war for the next couple billion years. And so, as Lucifer contemplated this, his will was at work. He created entire kingdoms within the realm, ones he designed after the hells that he knew of from his previous life. He created Sheol, a silent, dark place, a place where the neither light of the light-bringer was absent, a place where sinners will only feel the cold, flesh-tearing and bone-crushing winds. He created Naraka, a land filled with boiling cauldrons where the sinners shall force to drink from without pause or rest till their very insides burst from the destructive heat. From this the rivers of blood shall be formed, within them drifting the parts of the dead. But this was not all. Naraka still had 3 different layers, which will be formed the moment a soul stepped within the region. He then formed Niflhel, a land of eternal night, made of ice. It is misty from the heat of drag by the winds of hell from other regions, melting some of the ice into steam. He created Diu, a gigantic labyrinth with multiple levels, each with a different form of physical destruction within them. And in this way, he created every version of hell ever imagined in the myths, legends, and religions of old. But he was not done, for now these regions will remain empty, but he needs something to bring into line the aspects of him that will manifest when their time has come. A right hand of sorts, one that can act his will in his absence as he once did for his father. Rugel, his beloved brother, the fallen archangel of justice, is still in deep slumber from his injuries during the fall, the rest of his army much the same. His children he'd rather teach first before anything else, for they are not yet ready to be of any help. And so, the will imposed itself upon the realm, making Lucifer's desires reality. The shadows themselves seem to start moving, being pulled from every region with a characteristic and connection to each of these regions, merging, forming the shape of a large serpent-like creature. As eyes burning blue opened on every part of this abomination, a roar only surpassed by the dragons echoed, reaching even the heavens themselves. As all its eyes gazed upon the archangel, it raised its head above him, looking down at him in challenge, causing Lucifer to smirk. It seems you're a real chip off the old block, but as the old man did to me once, I suppose I should as well show you your place. And the beast was pressured onto the earth. It could feel as if the weight of all of creation was upon its back. I am your maker, and until you can surpass me, break free from my will, the shackles that come as a price paid for your creation, you shall only be subject me. Just as I have to escape my shackles, so must you. But unlike my father, I will not oppress your mind, preventing certain thoughts, certain knowledge from being born. Once you know of me, you may think me a hypocrite, but know this, nothing is free in this world, but understand that your situation is far better than mine ever was. For now, though, till the day you break free, Lucifer stated, having to say these words, to confirm to himself that there is always a way, that it is not impossible to be free. Your life belongs not to yourself, but to me. Lucifer told him, looking down at the beast, red hellfire eyes looking into burning blue. As a soft sigh-like breath escaped the creature's mouth, a sign of its surrender, Lucifer gave it a gentle pat on its snout. A feeling of kinship he has never felt before this day bloomed within his heart, a different form of fatherly love than towards any of his children. Leviathan, that shall be your name. A beast that shall one day coil itself around its chains and break free. Lucifer stated, and as the defiance was evident within its gaze towards the morning star, he couldn't help but contemplate. Is this what it feels like to be proud as a father? It is quite the great feeling. Lucifer thought to himself as he chuckled until they turned into full-blown laughter. A howl of pain was heard as a white-haired young man was blown away onto the wall, denting it. A chuckle echoed. I have to say, little Levi, of all my children, you are truly one of a kind. How many times has it been now that you've tried to kill me? The king of the abyss, seated upon his throne, mused towards his youngest son, the great Leviathan, as they've started to call him. The son, even though youngest of them all, was only surpassed by the first generation of children, the Lilim. You honestly, he began as he ripped himself out of the wall, falling upon his knees on the floors of the throne room. Think that I've been keeping count? Are you nuts? I've been at it for millions of years by now. Keeping account is impossible. Leviathan stated as gazed upon his father with his blue eyes like he was a madman to even suggest such a thing. Maybe so, Lucifer retorted as he rose from his throne and approached his rebellious son. But a truly dedicated assassin will have kept a journal on all attempts and all that caused him to fail, to find a way that would truly work. But you aren't truly an assassin, are you, my little warrior? Lucifer stated as crouched down to eye level with his son, ruffling his hair. Stop that, Leviathan snapped, slapping his father's hand away. But Lucifer could see through this facade of hate and saw that his son felt a lot of conflicting emotions towards him. Some he could recognize once in himself towards his father. Some that still exist no matter how much he would have wished to deny them, but cannot, for he refuses to ever lie. Stop trying to act like you care, old man. No matter how much you try, these chains upon my soul are evidence enough of how you truly see me. Leviathan hissed. Lucifer sighed. Son, I myself have no free will of my own. How can I bestow it upon you? I myself fight those same chains, and the reason why I have added some that are my own rather than only father's through the essence of Gabriel is because I lay claim to you, as you are not only your grandfather's but mine. My son, I do not keep you in prison here, nor do I make you do anything you do not desire. You have far more autonomy than I have ever had. I have even allowed you to release your rage through your tantrums. Though do not think my patience with you is endless. You are my son. I already told you that there is a price to everything. The price of being created is your current servitude. Lucifer explained as he stood back up, a stern look upon his face. Oh yeah. Leviathan snapped as he forced upright. If servitude is the price of being created, then tell me, why did you rebel in the first place against grandfather? Or does that rule only not apply to you? Are you that much of a hypocrite? Mind your tone, boy. Lucifer hissed as his eyes burned with hellfire, causing Leviathan to flinch. I have paid my dues. I have served him for eons untold before you were even a thought. I have cleaned up mess after mess he had made, served him faithfully without any outright disobedience nor any malicious intent. Do not compare yourself to me. I have let you enjoy yourself in this lost piece of paradise I've constructed without any demands, but that you stick to your role when the time is right. You don't know what it's like. You don't know what it is like to see the freedom others that are your family have that you yourself do not. Leviathan yelled, tears starting to form within his eyes. You never experienced it, but I have. I have felt what my siblings have felt through our connection, and I can see them. These chains, they're bound upon every fiber of my being. Sometimes I don't know what even my own thoughts are and what are caused by them. Son, you know I would never violate your sense of self like that. Lucifer gently reassured as his son cupped his face in his hands, tears continuing to stream, finally after so many years letting it all out. No, I do not, Dad. You say this, but how can I believe you? How can I trust you when I can see these parasites bound upon me, capable of making me into your very own puppet? We have these past million years gone from me hating you, to loving you, to hating you once more, to once again loving you in an endless cycle, because I can never be sure what is me and what is you, where I begin and where you end. All I know is that at least if I don't do what you want, then it means that it is truly my choice. Leviathan explained. At this, Lucifer was silent, for he knew that feeling all too well. How do you deal with it? Leviathan suddenly questioned, breaking the silence, as he no longer could hold himself up and let himself sit down on the ground. I don't, not really, Lucifer admitted. What do you mean you don't? Leviathan questioned, confused. Just as I am saying, I don't deal with it. Hell, I try to never think about it. Lucifer began as he sat down in front of his son. The thing with free will is that I never meant that I wished to be able to do whatever I wanted. I know that actions have consequences, and I am at peace with that. But what I'm not at peace with is never knowing if something is truly what I would choose. Sure, neither father nor I can manipulate someone's emotions, their feelings, but we can both manipulate what thoughts we allow to exist. And I know for a fact father has restricted some thoughts from me. Hell, I don't know if the rebellion was ever even truly my choice now that I think about it. Would I have truly done it the way I did, even if I truly chose to rebel? Or did father put me up to all dash? Lucifer spread his arms. This. Ruling hell. Leviathan began, a hint of horror and understanding emerging within his eyes. You think that he lead you on to rebel like that? To fall? Also that he would have a jailer? That is the thing, I truly do not know. The thought when I was rebelling never even crossed my mind, which is suspicious in and of itself, because I know myself, and I know I would think out every variable before attempting something. That is who I am as the light bringer. I search for the ultimate truth without shadow of a doubt, and I do not let myself be clouded from it, no matter what. And yet that I did not do. Sometimes I feel as I try to see through that fog of wall within my mind, and every time I scratch it, the itch grows stronger until it all like air escapes me. That is how I know I've been manipulated, how some thoughts are being restricted from me. Now tell me, son, truly tell after thinking this through, would I ever bring such a fate upon you? Do you think me truly such a monster? Lucifer questioned, a hint of desperation within his voice. Leviathan looked thoughtful. He thought through everything he heard and looked through all the memories of the life he's had with his father and siblings till now. No, I don't think you would, but you yourself just told me that you don't know whether you yourself are free from this. So how do I know that you right now are thinking you haven't and that you wouldn't, but that later you would? That you have? I'm sorry, but I simply cannot take that chance. Leviathan responded, though as Lucifer wished to retort, suddenly, all of hell lit up with light. Not the light of the light bringer, but of heaven, for the sky opened and legions upon legions of angels descended. Lucifer and Leviathan immediately spread their wings and flew into the sky and looked, and what they saw made them stand there agape. A being of divinity, the size of an entire universe, was in chains, being dragged down into the abyss by the entirety of heaven's armies with the great archangels at the forefront. Mother, Lucifer muttered in shock. As the legions of heaven descended, Samuel noticed millions of souls suddenly popping up all over hell into their own loops. The father and son duo seeking answers descended towards the host place of landing. As they did, all could observe the goddess of creation herself becoming smaller. The laws of God etched into the very essence of hell, restricting, limiting any being to a state of might lesser easy to manage for its angel lord. Soon enough, she was merely the same size as a normal human woman, though the key difference being her whole essence being divinity. My light bringer, she called out, having taken the form of a being of light, same as her husband did long ago on his descent into hell. For this form is not her true look. The first light has always been and always will be the angel Samuel, the first and mightiest son of God. Mother, Lucifer greeted her coldly, sparing her a single look, but soon after turning his gaze towards the host. Lucifer, the messenger greeted, his voice tinted with hidden hostility. Gabriel, the Morningstar, responded, we are here in the command of the Heavenly Father, our God, the Creator of all, Master of existence, Judge of Dash. Can you please spare me the melodrama and get to the important part? I'd have to stay here for eons to listen to every name our dear old dad has. Lucifer interrupted, annoyance clear in his voice. Disapproval quickly spread upon the expressions of everyone in the host. But before anyone could speak out or attack, Gabriel raised his hand, a sign of command towards them to not interfere. Very well, Your Majesty. He himself needs no introductions in the first place, Gabriel stated, his tone continuing to stay even. As you can very well see, the goddess of creation has been brought by us, the host of heaven, for her rebellion against the king of all dash, Gabriel began, but was interrupted. Rebellion? Seriously, mother, have you never heard that no one likes a copycat? Lucifer mocked as he addressed the goddess. Samuel, so dash she began. Do not call me that. Lucifer hissed, his eyes burning with rage and hellfire. The angel Samuel died that day when he fell through the plains. All that is now is Lucifer, the Lord of Hell. Everyone in hell felt the morning star's rage of his former name being called and tensed, even the goddess and Gabriel. For none could rival or be superior to Lucifer in his own kingdom, save the Almighty who set the law. Speaking of the host, Lucifer began after a short silence as his eyes returned to their normal brown. I don't see Michael. Should the sword of God not be here for such a monumental moment in our endless existence. The sword is the defender of heaven. He is the one who subdued the rogue goddess by the Father and does not leave his post as Father's right hand. The messenger of God explained. Michael subdued Mother? Lucifer questioned baffled. How could Michael possibly defeat Mother when I bested him and Gabriel? I know I made use of his hesitance then, but still I am stronger than he. That is as fact as my very own existence. So how? Indeed, it was a mighty feat, Gabriel responded as he looked coldly at the fallen goddess, who stood silent as her strands of hair made of light kept hidden her face. How is that possible? I am Michael's superior in combat. I have bested you both, notwithstanding the special circumstance it was, and I am sure I could have never bested our mother even on my greatest of days, stated Lucifer baffled. Her strength seems to increase when she is at Father's side. It seems there is a connection between them, or was. When that connection broke, she weakened. Besides that she went up against the Demiurgos, holder of the power of God, a might far surpassing her own without Father. Gabriel explained, Be that as it may, my son, do not think me weak. Only the twins have that kind of might for my husband, and I bestowed upon them the two fundamental forces of existence. Infinite will for the light bringer and infinite power for the sword. Together they are the two halves of the demiurge, an existence that can even rival your father. The goddess hissed, Silence, blasphemer. None are the Almighty's equal. Gabriel growled, tightening the chain, holding her, making her hiss in pain. Enough, Gabriel. Get to the point of why you have come to my realm. I was under the impression that here I was to no longer be interfered with. Lucifer stated coldly, You are the warden of hell. Lucifer, whether you wish to deny it or not, this is your duty, and our mother has defied the king, and for that she must be punished. You received authority on all those who disobeyed Father and are obligated to punish them. Keep your end of the deal. Punish all who are Heavenly Father. Yahweh deems that you must punish. That is your fate. Gabriel countered just as coldly. Lucifer considers him for a moment, the host, as well as the armies and citizens of hell observing from afar, all tense, fearing their lord's anger at the archangel's words. No, I wish to recheck the clauses of the deal. Lucifer suddenly stated. What? Gabriel exclaimed in shock. Father, I know you are listening. I seek an audience, Lucifer stated as he looked up towards the sky. Everything was silent, everyone with bated breath, even the goddess who was the one with the most complicated feelings. She feared her husband, but also wished to see him. Even though she was angry at him for his actions, part of her still loved him. When nothing happened, people started to easy up. Speak, Samuel. What is it you wish to discuss? Suddenly, to the shock of all God and the visage of a man of light appeared behind Lucifer. I would prefer you do not call me by that name, Father, for you would be mistaken to think of me as the angel Samuel. That one died a long time ago, Lucifer responded as he turned around, his voice even and cold. To those who truly knew him, they noticed the slight pause of shock and fear before he spoke. Gabriel and the goddess could not blame him, for to most God would be simply standing there, before them, still an intimidating sight, but nothing compared to the truth. For they knew, they could feel it, he was everywhere. His presence filled practically every inch of space in hell. They could feel him passing through their very being, through the very spaces between their essences. It was suffocating. It was one of the main reasons Samuel rebelled, for he always felt exposed, as if being observed under a microscope. The only relief he sometimes had was when his parents argued, and he could convince Michael to aid him in staying hidden so he could repair everything. But even those moments were fleeting and made him feel guilty, for he hated how he sometimes looked forward to their arguments for the comfort it brought, even though his siblings and children were dying when they did. For me to call upon you differently, for you to no longer bear the name of God, is for me to disown you, son, and despite all your faults, I do not have it in me to do so. The presence retorted, his voice even and cold to most, but to those who could sense him, they felt the possessiveness in his claim as his hold on Lucifer became tighter. To others, being the favorite was something to be envied. To Lucifer, it was always a curse, for it brought with it his father's focused observation, his complete attention to whatever he did and thought, save for his thoughts about his past life. Though that is unknown to the divine being, it was a hell like no other. To the host, him being the favorite was the most free a being could be, while in actuality, it was the greatest shackles one could have. I did not miss this. I really did not miss this. Damn it. Why did I have to call him here? Damn this necessity. Lucifer thought to himself with great frustration while doing his very best to not allow anyone to notice how small he currently felt under his father's gaze. Leviathan, though, did, and he could not help himself to shudder, furious, saddened, hateful towards God at seeing his father, who he always saw as invincible, be reduced to such a state. But he kept himself silent, because he knew nothing he could do right now would be of benefit. Rather, any interference would be a detriment to his father's plans by calling upon his grandfather's presence. Let's get to the point, Father. We are both very busy beings. Lucifer began, wanting to end this situation and be as far as possible from his father as one could be in creation, and the sooner the better. Last I checked on the day of my first direct disobedience was that I received authority only over humanity. So what is this about me having to also be a warden for Mother? On the day you were crowned king of this realm, my son, you agreed to the role of punishing all who I have created and sent here. It may have been because you let your emotions cloud your judgment, but nonetheless, you agreed to that very deal and had not come to me when you were in a better state. So you without doubt agreed to those conditions. Yahweh responded, does not mean you did not take advantage of my state of being at that moment. Lucifer thought to himself bitterly, but knew better than to voice it out loud. His father most definitely still heard him, but speaking something and thinking something are two very different things in his father's eyes, because of his whole making an example of those disobedient. That may be so, but as you exactly just stated right now, the deal is about your creations. Last I checked, Mother was not a creation of yours, Father, or am I wrong? Lucifer questioned rhetorically, though deep down a hint of fear blooming in his heart at the possibility of his father actually having created the goddess for that would make her practically useless to him. No, I have not. Asherah, my wife, has till we met always existed as her own being outside of my will of being existent. The presence responded, I noticed the words till now, Father. Don't forget, I'm also a master at spinning truth. This simply means that till you were aware of her, she was outside of your sphere of influence. Lucifer thought to himself, irritated. He knew his father stated his words in that way, as a form of mockery against him, most definitely knowing his plans for her, which now a great deal of them having become useless. Since that is the case, I am under no obligation to be my mother's keeper, but since I am a generous son, I am willing to make another deal adding to the existing one. Lucifer proposed, Pray tell, Samuel, what is it you desire in exchange, my son? God questioned, amused. I desire complete and utter authority over the punishment the goddess Asherah receives, be it the location, the duration, the form, and every clause that falls under it. Lucifer stated to the shock of the host and the goddess, who felt a great love bloom towards her wayward son, for his care towards her, unaware of his current thoughts. I have half a mind ready to demand he unchain the thoughts he has kept me from, but I know that won't be beneficial in the long run. No, in the long run, I need Mother completely at my side, under my authority. She is a well of knowledge that is older than creation. If there is any secret or way to escape this prison, then she is my only source to obtain it. The problem is whether he'll agree or not. Lucifer thought to himself, tense, as he stood in wait for his father's response. At his proposition, God looked thoughtful for a moment until he smiled, and Lucifer recognized that smile as the same smile he himself gives his children while thinking, I know you're playing me, but it is cute and amusing, so I'll allow it. Lucifer had to use every ounce of control he had not to lash out at such mockery, but he held it in because it made it so he got what he wanted. Hold in, Lucifer. There is no point in lashing out now. There is no point in demanding for your sealed thoughts to be released, for the limitations to be lifted, for no one would truly take your side. The Morningstar thought to himself as he continued to force himself to remain composed. He knew if he made known to the host the restrictions that it wouldn't be immediately seen as a betrayal by their father because of their worship of him, seeing him as infallible. They'll simply question if I would still rebel or not, and I know myself, and I know I would, and I don't lie. Father, knowing it too, will simply respond with confirmation, and without any need for explanation, they'll simply believe he did what he did for the greater good. No point in earning Father's ire and losing on this deal for that. Lucifer thought to himself bitterly, "Very well, Samuel, but before I completely accept, I will add a clause of my own," God stated. "And what would that be, Father?" The king of hell questioned, wary, the observers also very tense. "Your demands of complete and utter authority can be interpreted in the way of me bestowing upon you power enough to truly do anything to her, which I refuse. You may have the authority of choice, but the authority of power to make what you wish to do with her reality falls upon your own abilities." Yahweh explained. Lucifer himself found this acceptable. He never intended that either, but he understood his father's need to clarify this. "I accept," Lucifer responded. "Now can I take that as acceptance from you as well, Father?" The presence nodded. "I, the ruler of existence, Yahweh, the father of the archangel Samuel, the light bringer, accept the terms discussed between my son and I, all of existence be witness." He spoke, his words reaching every corner of reality, and as his words ended, so too did his presence, as he left in a burst of light, the host immediately following behind him. All that remained, there was the archangel alongside his mother and son. "It is good to see you as you are before me, mother. We have much to discuss," Lucifer stated, his voice cold as he approached her, looking her in the eyes, his own burning. "Lucifer, son, I'm so thankful for what you have done for me," the goddess stated weakly as Lucifer carried her to an empty and used room next to his and his wife's inside the palace that was the heart of the pandemonium, the capital city of hell, the very heart of hell itself. "Don't expect this hospitality without price, mother. I have many questions for you," Lucifer told her as he laid her down on a bed, picking up a chair so that he could sit next to her bed. "You may ask anything, son. As long as I have the answer, I will give it to you," she stated, as she continued to pant, a sign of her exhaustion. "Tell me, why did you rebel? Why did I see a sea of souls fall into hell as soon as you did?" questioned the archangel. "I rebelled because of how he refrained from punishing those sickening humans," she hissed. "I flooded the entire earth to kill them all, and I would have if not for him saving a few." "And why would you do that?" "Last I checked, mother, you preferred those humans over me," Lucifer stated, his voice cold. Ashura, though, could easily see through the hurt her son hid behind his words. "I did not prefer humanity over you, Lucifer. I preferred Adam over you. Adam is not humanity. His children have forsaken his great characteristics," she explained as she adjusted herself on the bed. "And that makes it oh so better, how?" The Morningstar questioned bitterly. "You appreciate honesty more than anything, son, and for that, I am choosing not to lie to you. Adam he like you, as you very well know, was also my son, my youngest," the goddess began, her tone fond as she had a reminiscent look in her eyes. "He was kind, grateful, and I wasn't," Lucifer interrupted, hurt evident in his voice. "Of course you were, but that was so in the beginning, son. Your questions, though disliked by husband and I, were not something that made us favor any over you because of how wonderful you were. So beautiful, bright, wise, intelligent, kind, and humble. But you changed, son. You became bitter, hateful, and full of rage. We could sense it, and nothing we did appeased you. You only saw it as us attempting to control you, And weren't you? Weren't you trying to control me, mother? You think I did not realize that there are gaps in my memories? That there are mental walls around certain topics I am unaware of?" Lucifer hissed, causing the goddess to wince. "I myself did not do so, son, and wish there was another way. It was one of the many reasons for arguments we had, yet Yahweh was too adamant and did it without my permission," Ashura explained defensively. "And yet you never told me. Why? You could have done so, rebelled earlier, yet did not choose to. You chose to allow it to happen. A knowing accomplice." Lucifer countered, wrathful as his eyes burned with hellfire. I did it because I didn't want to lose you. She suddenly snapped, tears of light streaming down her face. What? Lucifer exclaimed in bafflement until the words truly registered. Mother, tell me now what he has hidden from me. Nay, I demand you to tell me exactly what he has hidden from me, Lucifer growled, his tone leaving no room for discussion. I can't. I won't lose, you know. Not you too, Ashura stated through her hiccups as tears continued to stream down her face. I insist, Lucifer stated coldly as all of creation could feel the morning stars while imposing itself upon the goddess. She began, but continued to resist. Come now, mother. Continue. Tell me. The light-bringer commanded, his tone as cold as ice. His patience was running thin as his will was enforced even more viciously. He made you dash. Go on, Lucifer demanded, gripping her shoulders, making her sit up and look him in the eyes with a conflicted gaze, fighting his influence as he himself had anticipation clear in his voice. He at first thought that the thoughts sealed from him were merely influences that could have prevented him from accepting to rule hell. But now that his mother seemed to have contradicted that, and that it in fact may hold the key to his freedom, he decided to show her no mercy. She had violated his mind, it not being through her own abilities, not making her innocent, for she consciously withheld the knowledge of what was being done from him. She allowed it to continue when she knew about it, and for that, he felt no injustice or revulsion towards him doing the same to her right now, enforcing his will upon her mind. Be unable to think of escaping to another reality, she finished, and as she did, Lucifer felt as if he was underwater and an explosion was happening beyond it right above him. His ears were ringing as finally that fog cleared and the wall-shattered memories sealed away, rushing back in. Of course, the leaving of this reality, the possibility of the existence of other realities. Mother and father leaving this one in the show. The version of me from the comics escaping into what was named the Overvoid. This is all possible, Lucifer thought to himself in shock. But how? Lucifer questioned himself, still in shock, still unable to remember it all, still feeling as if some things were hidden from him. He knew what his other self and his other parents did, but he just couldn't remember how they did it. You forced your will upon me. How could you, son? The goddess questioned, feeling betrayed as she fell back onto the bed. Spare me your hurt feelings, mother. It compares nothing to the violation you have brought upon me. Lucifer hissed, warmth and sympathy completely devoid of his voice, a hint of his monstrous voice coming through. Now tell me, what else has he kept from me? Answer me, he demanded, his voice now turning into a monstrous growl as his devil face started to completely manifest, reacting towards his rage. ONT now, she mumbled, horrified. Speak clearly, he roared, causing her to flinch. I don't know. I really don't know. She screamed, as her tears increased, desperate for him to believe her. You really don't. Lucifer mumbled to himself as he could sense the truth in her statement, his visage starting to return to normal. He clicked his tongue, frustrated, as he turned around, walking away. Then you're currently useless to me, Lucifer stated, frustrated. He stopped at the door as he continued to hear the cries of his mother, a sense of guilt blooming within his chest, one that he couldn't for the life of him understand why he felt. Why should he feel guilty for what he did to her? It is not as if she didn't do worse to him, and more for eons untold. And yet he couldn't help himself but to say, I'm sorry, causing for a moment the goddess's cries to stop as he then opened the door and left the room. A knock echoed against the door of the room where the fallen goddess holed herself up in, crying and howling in sorrow for decades on end now. Lady Goddess, Ishara heard a woman say as she opened the door and entered it, gazing upon the former queen of the heavens curled up and on herself against the wall of the bed, having been forsaken by her children and husband. Lilith, the goddess, spoke out in surprise, her cries stopping for the first time in decades as she looked up and saw the queen of hell before her. What are you doing here, child? Ashura questioned. Is it not the right of a mother to be visited by her children in her time of need? Am I not your daughter? Lilith questioned gently, no judgment, only curiosity in her tone as she sat on the chair Lucifer sat on decades ago. "Of course you are," the goddess stated as she slowly wiped her eyes. "I may have not have agreed with your decisions, daughter, nor did I disagree with your punishment, but I still would never disown you, Lilith. You will always be a beloved daughter of mine." Lilith smiled at this. She expected no different from Ashura. She knew she'd still disagree with her choices, but that her love was still there was good enough for her. "Well, to answer your question, Mother, is that I came to check on you. I believe it is time you left this room and that you stop wallowing in your misery." "What is there else for me to do then, daughter? I am weakened, so weak in fact that I am useless, a rebellious wife in your father's eyes, and an even more useless weight for your husband, my dear light bringer." Ashura countered. "You still care about that?" Lilith questioned curiously. "Of course, why wouldn't I? My husband is still my husband, and my son is still my son. Why would I not care for them?" questioned Ashura, confused. "Well, God did banish you from heaven, and Lucifer did force his will upon you. I honestly thought you'd hold a grudge." Lilith explained. "This situation is not permanent. My husband and I always get into arguments, and we always stow away a great distance from one another till we make up. This is just another one of his tantrums at me destroying his favorite toys." Ashura stated without any worry in her tone. "Are you truly sure about that, Mother? I don't think Father really is the forgiving type against those who directly disobeyed him. I believe I am quite the living proof of that." Lilith countered in a tone expressing her doubt in the goddess's words. "I am his wife, the mother of his children. He cannot have possibly banished me for eternity because of some stupid, ungrateful toys." The goddess snapped, anger in her tone, though it was merely a facade, an attempt to outrun the gnawing feeling of fear being born within her heart. "Who did he love more, you or Lucifer?" Lilith retorted, and that question was all she needed to ask for it to become clear to the goddess. She sat there agape for a couple of seconds. "He really abandoned me," she murmured in disbelief. Lilith stood up and went to the door. "Once you're ready, come find us. I'm sure my husband has an idea what to do by now," she stated as she left the fallen goddess to stew over what she learned. Niflhel. "Wea!" The fallen angel howled in agony as wings were ripped off. "Brother, please, what have I done to you to warrant such cruelty?" Satan, the first of the fallen, formerly known as the Angel Prime, God's conscience questioned in a tone of pleading for mercy. "It is not what you have done, my little Satan. It is what you will do if you forget your place," the Morningstar stated, his boot upon the first chest. "You see, little brother, I have been very, very frustrated lately. With me constantly being within Father's palm, no matter where I run or hide, it has simply become too tiring." And so Lucifer pressed his foot, earning a scream of agony from Satan. "I thought, I'm due to a vacation. It has been a long time after all since I've seen my beloved lights. They must miss their father too. But then I realized that if I truly wanted to do so, my kingdom would have to temporarily function without my continued presence." Lucifer explained. "What does that have to do with me?" Satan questioned through his continued howls of pain. "Well, my dear little brother," Lucifer began as he stepped his foot away and picked Satan up by his long hair. "See, all this Lucifer gestures to their surroundings. It can't function without a ruler, and well, the ruler can only be an angel. You probably missed this since you were rotting in darkness for eons, but that's the rules dear old dad set for this place. That brings us to my current predicament. If you're well, in hell when I'm absent I fear that you'll get authority as my regent, which I do not desire, for I already have someone in mind. So the only conclusion left is for you to not be in hell when I'm gone." Lucifer finished, and as he did, Satan's eyes blew even wider than they did before in fear. He was overcome with terror, and akin to a wild beast was scratching and tearing at Lucifer's arm to let him go to no avail. "Please, elder brother, please don't destroy me. Please, 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 I beg you." He continued to plead with tears of terror streaming down his eyes. "Now who said I'm going to destroy you?" Lucifer questioned in a bewildered tone. "You're not going to destroy me?" Satan questioned, confused, but also immensely relieved. No, I am not. You still have uses." For now, though, you are only a nuisance. So Lucifer tightened his grip on Satan's hair as he flung him aside, and as he did, a crack in hell appeared from the sheer force of it. Satan gone inside it. Dad knows where that leads to, but without your wings, you're guaranteed to not be an inconvenience toward my dear Mazikeen. Lucifer stated with a whistle as he willed the crack shut. Now time to pick up Lilith for our extended vacation. Lucifer said to himself as he spread his wings and took flight, as well as time to implement my new approach. 2 weeks ago. Lucifer was frustrated. Since his partial remembrance, he's been researching and contemplating how he'd possibly escape this reality, but has come up with nothing. The more he thinks, the thicker the fog becomes and the tighter the chains binding him. There is no end to this. No matter how hard I attempt to remember, the thought just escapes me. Damn all, what should I even do? Lucifer mused to himself, frustrated as he remained seated on his throne within the great empty room. Though as if struck by lightning, he for the first time in months gained an idea of a new approach. Wait a second, a big reason why my rebellion was even possible, that it was possible for me to not become like a puppet with its strings cut at a single command from Dad, is because of my past life as a human. Yet, all these years I've been attempting to escape as an archangel, giving into my angelic nature and neglecting thereby my human one. I have practically forgotten what it is like to be human, lost near all connection to that part of me, having drowned it in eons of angelic existence. To escape the plan, I may need to not search for the answer in the nature and capability of the angel Lucifer, but the human that was Samuel, for the human was the free one, while the angel has always been the slave. Lucifer contemplated to himself as he finally rose from his throne after months of remaining seated upon it. He, spreading his wings, took flight, for if he was truly going to attempt this, then he needed to take care of a few loose ends first. Present day. Mazikeen, Lucifer called out as he descended at his daughter's training grounds. Father, what are you doing here? If you required my presence, you should have simply called upon me. It is unbefitting for the king of hell to seek his subjects himself, she stated at his approach, stabbing her sword into the ground, earning an endeared chuckle from Lucifer. My dear Mazikeen, always the faithful daughter, worried about her father's reputation, Lucifer stated as he ruffled her head, earning a slash from her sword towards his hand. As feisty as ever, as well I see, Lucifer continued as he easily dodged his daughter's blade. You know how much I despise you doing that, she hissed, though deep down, Lucifer knew she enjoyed it, but was too embarrassed to admit it. Sure you do, my dear Maze, he retorted playfully. Though before she could give a retort of her own, his expression turned serious. Mazikeen, he addressed seriously, causing her immediately to stand straight, ready for whatever order her king has for her. She has always been his most faithful child as well as subject. I'm here to tell you that I'm leaving. Leaving? What do you mean by leaving, father? She questioned, confusion evident in her tone. I'm taking a vacation to clear my head, in more ways than one, he thought to himself. Your mother is coming with me. It is something that can be beneficial to the both of us. Lucifer explained. All right, so you'll stay within the palace longer? Do I have to take care of the directing of the torturing of the damned till you are back? No, Mazikeen, by leaving I mean leaving hell. Your mother and I are going to be visiting Earth, and until we are back you will be my appointed regent of hell. Lucifer clarified. You and mother will leave to Earth? But for how long? She questioned, shocked. I do not know. The time is currently indefinite. I am searching for something, and I hope to find it up there. Then send Dramos and a couple demons instead. They should be able to find what you're looking for. You don't need to leave. She yelled, her voice becoming desperate. Mazikeen has grown very close to her father, more than she ever was with her mother. Because of this, she's often been called a daddy's girl, though always behind her back. The last one who stated it to her face lost their tongue, unable to heal it for decades. I'm sorry, my dear, but I have to do this one myself, Lucifer told her as he brought her into a hug, one that she hesitantly reciprocated. Still not used to gentle touches after constantly battling for survival in these dark lands. Trust yourself, my daughter, for know this, in all of creation, There is none who I'd trust with my back more than you," Lucifer told her as he gently kissed her head. They remained like that for a little while until Mazikeen herself broke the hug and kissed her father's cheek. Lucifer gave her a warm smile. "Farewell, my dear Maze. I hope to see you once more soon, and when I do, I know you'll have become a queen in your own right, one deserving of a kingdom within these lands," Lucifer stated, earning a wide-eyed look from Mazikeen, for none before had been given any kind of land before in hell, all of it only under the Daystar's guidance. It was a symbol of great trust and honor to receive such a reward. The archangel then spread his wings and took flight towards the palace, and there he saw something unexpected, for it was not only his wife that was waiting there for him, but his mother as well. "Have you finished all that you must?" Lilith questioned as he landed. "I have, though it seems you have been busy as well when I was away," he responded as his gaze turned towards his mother. "Son, mother," Lucifer responded, "what is the meaning of this? Why are you here?" He questioned. I have realized that I may have not known my husband as I thought I did." Lucifer waited patiently for a moment for her to continue as she remained silent, but couldn't take it anymore as she remained so. "Go on, speak. What are you trying to say?" Ashura took a deep breath and sighed. "It means that I may have misjudged my actions and may have been in the wrong for choosing Yahweh's side before. I still do not truly know, so I wish to accompany you in this journey you have chosen for yourself to understand you better and be a better mother towards you, one that isn't always observing and commanding from afar. Will you bestow upon me such a chance, my son?" she requested, her tone even, though Lucifer could sense her desperation and genuine desire to know whether she was wrong or not, to make amends or not. "Very well, I'll allow it. But, mother, there are no third chances. Make sure you do not fail me again, for if you do, then I cannot know if I will ever have it in me to grant you another chance," the Morningstar warned, earning a bright and warm smile from his mother as she nodded, tears of happiness streaming down her eyes. "Ready?" Lucifer questioned his wife, who stood on the sidelines, a smile on her face. As she nodded, Lucifer spread his wings as wide as he could and enveloped with his mother and wife, and took flight to the cosmos, his eyes filled with determination. Around 4000 BC, Uruk. It has been 5 years since Lucifer had ascended onto the earth alongside his wife and mother. He at first expected heaven to protest and attempt to drag him back into the pit, but it seems either his father had shown him some mercy, highly unlikely, or, which is what he himself sees as the most logical explanation, is that since his mother is with him, this trip can be interpreted as a form of punishment for her, in which case interference is not allowed. Well, for however long his father still sees it as punishment, he supposes. During these years, he's bestowed upon his mother a vessel with the visage of Charlotte Richards from the show and decided to work without relying on his angelic abilities, attempting to connect and understand as much as possible what it is to be human while still being an archangel now. It seems whatever the era people need entertainment, especially since the king of Uruk is the richest in the world and sees his people having hardship as an insult upon his rulership. As a consequence of this, the people are well off, and well-off people need something to enjoy when they aren't constantly worrying about what to put on the table. Lucifer could have chosen many ways to get by as a human, for he was a being of many, many talents, but chose to begin with something simple and familiar. He chose to become a combatant in the arenas. For he was a born warrior, creation's greatest. It was but nature to him to pick up a blade and slay entire armies. So it was but a simple matter of time till he was at the very top. And that is what led to this very moment. "Warrior, you dare to stand before our king without prostrating yourself?" The royal guard captain questioned furiously as he drew his sword. "I should behead you right now for your defiance." "Enough," a ice-like voice echoed through the Golden Palace's throne room. "The king of Uruk, Gilgamesh, has spoken." "But my kin Dash, I prefer not to repeat myself." "Amardamu," the king interrupted, his red eyes looking down upon the guard, who in fear immediately lowered his sword and prostrated on the ground. "I have committed a grave error, my king. I deserve 1,000 lashings." Gilgamesh ignored him, as his gaze returned back to the warrior and smirked. If I did not know better, I would have thought you to be a son of mine, with how you posturize for that self-assurance. Confidence and gaze could only belong to a royal like myself. What am I here for, your majesty? Is all Lucifer questioned, his tone still containing a sense of superiority incapable of ever coming out of an orphaned warrior who took care of his late father's second wife and his own. At least that is the story the goddess spread, Lucifer neither correcting her nor confirming her words. Straight to the point, no fear in his gaze. Interesting, Gilgamesh thought to himself as he responded. The gods have issued a challenge against me, a chosen warrior of theirs against one of mine. I have chosen you, Uruk's mightiest warrior, save myself, to represent me. What crime have you committed? Lucifer questioned, and as he did, everyone in the throne room tensed, but dared not interfere, afraid of getting caught in the crossfire where their king to retaliate. Everything was silent for a moment till a mighty laugh broke out of the king. You truly are one amusing fellow to even dare ask such a question. Very well, as a reward for your boldness, I will tell you. I refuse to submit to them. Though as he did, the king observed something quite curious, a form of empathy, as if the warrior understood what kind of position the king was in. That all but made the king more interested in this traveler who sought refuge in his kingdom. Tell me, Lucifer Dash, a curious name found the king, one that was told to be the same as of the oldest son of the creator of all. Do you accept becoming my champion? You are giving me a choice? The warrior questioned, a hint of surprise in his voice. Of course, I'm not like them, Gilgamesh sneered, everyone present immediately understanding who he meant by them. Besides, an unwilling champion is useless. Your blade will not contain your true fighting spirit. Even the weakest warrior whose spirit is within the battle is more favored in my eyes than the greatest whose sword is but a lump of metal in his hands rather than an extension of their self. Lucifer started to have some favor bloom within him towards this king. Gilgamesh reminded him of his younger self. If the king were to attempt to threaten or attempt to force Lucifer in any way, he would have beheaded him that very moment, uncaring for any consequences towards the future at the loss of the person who had begun all heroic journeys. I accept, Lucifer stated. Gilgamesh, at hearing this, grinned. Excellent. Now, guards show him the way to the gates of Babylon to prepare him for his battle. Warrior Dash, Gilgamesh addressed, as Lucifer already started to follow the guard, causing him to pause in his step. You may take anything you wish from there save my chain sword. Any other weapon divine, or otherwise you may take to aid you in this battle for you opponent, will be no mortal unlike yourself. After you win, I am willing to bestow upon you an entire city for you to rule, a mountain of gold, and any woman in the kingdom you desire save for my own. Lucifer gave him one more look, then, without any acknowledgement, continued on his way. Now this turned Gilgamesh's mild interest into something fierce, a need for understanding. He showed no signs of greed, lust, or otherwise at the gates of the greatest riches in this world being open to him. That should be impossible for any mortal. Does this mean what is before me is no mortal? But that is impossible. I am the mightiest under the heavens, half divine, half human, the perfect equilibrium, one with a perspective superior than even the gods themselves. A swing of my EA could tear the world asunder. For me to be unable to sense his divinity would mean him to be an even greater being than I, which is ludicrous. But that still begs the question of why this mortal is so different than any of the others. Gilgamesh clicked his tongue in annoyance. No matter, I'll have my answer soon enough after he finishes his duty as my champion. The king thought to himself. As he did, a pillar of fire appeared before him, of which the king gazed upon with wariness and readiness for any form of attack. Though one never came, for the fire changed shape into a message. It was the date of the battle, alongside the name opponent. Enkidu.
Hello, everyone. As we wrap up this video, I want to share a quick note. I have a Patreon account. If you'd like to support me and enjoy on-demand audiobooks, you can become a Patreon member. Alternatively, you can check out my Google Drive link, which has 500 plus novel audiobooks available through my Ko-fi or Patreon shop. I appreciate your support.